Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
So glad to have each and every one of you with us tonight. Good evening. It's a hair down kind of night. The beard is looking good. And I'll be honest with you, I exercised today. Yeah, I exercised today. Alara of Sirius is here. Yep, she's looking good. She's got her hair pulled back, good bandana on, and we will get to her momentarily. She's got an amazing story, guys. And you guys are going to hear about it very, very soon. But first, roll call. All right, Nightmare in the gold medal position. Race Fan takes home the silver, while Mennonite Abe grabs the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Michael Morris, Gorgeous Cosmic Floor, Jeffrey DeRuin. Noodles, how you doing, guys? Good to have you all here. Hello, Grandpa Holland. Greg O'Brien is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Loyal to the Foil, looking beautiful tonight. She'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio for Loyal, to the right of the studio. Coyote, my man, what is happening? Thanks for coming on in early. Good to see you as we continue on with roll call. My man, Todd Purdon, Luscious Jewels, Eris Manna, nice to have you all here. Eddie Haskell, good to have you here. The Pegasus Club, welcome to SOR Chat. Mark Longoria, nice to see you. Hi, Bob, nice to have you here. Lovely Kathy Evans has returned, everybody. Yes, she has, and we're glad she's here. Chris Mo from Austria, good to see you. Hank Kranenberg van from, I'm going to say, that sounds very Dutch. Very, very Dutch. You're Dutch. That's all I'm going to say. All right, moving on, but thank you so much for coming to our chat room for the first time. Good to have you here. Let's see. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Lip Blade, looking on par tonight. Looking on par with that blade, man. Good to have you here. Hi, Enzo. Toxic Canadian, nice to have you here. As we continue on with roll call, let's make this happen. Champ Campbell, nice to have you here. The gorgeous Simply Cocoa, what is the drink of choice for tonight? Please let us know. And there's Simon from Australia. Good to have you here. Nicola, the lovely Jenny. Doug Shelby is here, everyone. The Doug Shelby has returned. Yep, I know. I'm excited about it, too. Let's see. Who else has joined us? Richard Elmore, always a pleasure, my man. And Mike Roberts, good to see you. EMF, you're unbelievable. Oh, there we go. Millennium, thanks for coming on in. Phil Minervino, good to see you, my man. Matthew Kennedy, thanks for joining us. And there's the gorgeous and talented Kira. Welcome back. Carfunibre, thanks for joining us. Stephen Wolf. Hold on. Got to start the radio side. There we go. 405er, Ben Williams, welcome to SOR Chat. And Mr. Lurks a lot, good to see you. Drew Morris, welcome back. And B, hope you had a great weekend. 1 foot N5D. In 5D. That's Alara right there hiding. Hi, Alara. Welcome to SOR Chat. All right, moving on here. Allison Yellowknee, looking beautiful tonight. The lovely Lara, Paranormal Pixie, good to see you. Robert Garcia, thanks for coming on in. Papa Willie, what's up there, bodyguard? Penman, and good to see you. Terry Brown, welcome back. Alien Critter, what's going on, man? And Rayfin, the gorgeous Cryptid Huntress, Fabster, thank you for coming on in. Ted Bastian, How you doing with the cartoons, man? Let us know. Cecil, good to see you. Larry A., you're looking lovely tonight. Tessa, welcome back. Hope you are doing great. And we are 30 seconds away. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Vash the Impaler, Rich Hilke, good to see you. Michael Smith, how you doing, Smithy? Nice to have you here. And we are running out of time. Sangria, by the way, the drink of choice for our good friend Sonia. Lars Janssen, John Swan, Judy of Gaul, looking beautiful. Hey, guys, I need a favor. Mr. Black Dragon, you too. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Alara of Sirius. We're getting into the secret space program and some aliens with her. You never go wrong with a little bit of aliens in your life, people. Trust me on that. Also, moving on here, we are going to have the fedora-wearing John Hudson joining us as well. We got Swamp Dweller, all in hour number 3. But first, let us get to our guest tonight. Alara of Sirius started the initial phase of her journey in the entertainment industry, then transitioned into investigative work after spending the better part of a decade in academia. After a series of paranormal metaphysical events abruptly following a rather dramatic dark night of the soul, she was awakened from her slumber and forced to seek universal truths, which through synchronicity led her to various people and information sources, which ultimately clarified and solidified her mission on this planet. Alara is an experiencer of both extraterrestrials and the secret space program. She is now a passionate advocate for full disclosure as founder of 1 Foot in 5D on YouTube. This is going to be a great show. I'm pumped up for this one. Alara of Sirius, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Dave? You're so delightful to listen to.
You know what? I have a face for radio and a voice for print, and I'm very proud of that. And you know what? We're going to have a great night tonight, experiencer to experiencer, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to know your story here because you're somebody who has, over the last few years, really come to grips with what happened to you. Did this start off in childhood for you as you've looked back, or is this something that happened as you started to bloom into adulthood?
Yeah, no, not that I remember. It seems like most people, this stuff starts off when they're kids, but I don't have any memories as a kid. The first, contact experience I had of any sort of type of thing like that was in 2017. So
amazing. What happened in 2017 to you?
I was walking through a neighborhood with another person. It was a guy, and what only thing I can describe it was a spaceship. Okay. And I couldn't for the longest time, I couldn't understand whether it came through like a Stargate or what happened. I now understand that it just decloaked is what happened, because it went from like a point of light to a spaceship right in front of my face. This is about 50 feet in front of me that this happened. I could have seen in the windows if they weren't tinted, but they were like a tinted, you couldn't see in them. So this thing like decloaked 50 feet in front of me, and I panicked. I had no clue that we had technology that advanced, but at the time I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know if it was aliens or what was going on. And I can't, the time gets kind of scattered when these sort of things happen. So I can't tell you how much time went by. I just remember, I remember standing there kind of in shock. And I remember looking at the guy next to me like, are you seeing this? And you could see the look of terror on his face. I'll never forget it. And he said, yeah, he kind of got out a yes to me in some way. And then, so I knew right then that I wasn't nuts and what I was seeing was there. But if that wasn't enough, then I saw like 8 military drones all come around, and the military drones were watching the ship and the ship was watching me. And it was a really, really intense moment of my life, I will say. And so I remember at some point thinking, okay, so if this is aliens, right? Because that's what anybody would think that doesn't realize we have technology like this. I remember thinking, if this is aliens, what's going to happen next? Are they going to abduct me? And as soon as that thought kind of hit my head and it registered, like aliens abduct me, I just started running. And I just started running. I didn't look behind me. I was scared out of my mind. And the interesting thing about this is that when I got where I was going, and that guy started running too. He was with me. And when I got where I was going, about, I would say maybe 20 minutes later, I asked him, I said, will you please tell these people what just happened to us? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, wow. So, yeah, very interesting first experience. Huh?
He blanked.
Yeah. I don't know if his cognitive dissonance shut down what happened, or if he was, if he got the zap or what. I don't know. I have no way of knowing. I just know that he denied it, roughly 30 minutes later. He denied it happening. So.
Explain to people what that's like, because here you have this life-altering, profound experience that you are absolutely amazed by, and you have it with an eyewitness who all of a sudden you feel like has just turned their back on you and making you look like the lunatic, let alone the experience for what it's worth.
Some people, it's taken me years to come to terms with what happened that day and all the things that followed it. It's taken me years. And so that has given me an understanding that if people aren't ready when this sort of event happens, now all kinds of things can cause something like this to happen. And maybe I knew that ship was there for me. I knew that. I can't explain to you how I knew, but I knew. So, I don't know if he was just supposed to validate the experience for me. That was the whole reason his presence was there. I don't know, but I know that people, when they're not ready, their whole paradigm has to shift instantly after something like this happens. And if they're not ready mentally for that, they're not going to accept what happened. Their mind won't accept it. The mind is an amazing computer, what it can do. When it's not ready, it's not ready. So yeah, I had to go on my, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What made you accept it?
That was what I needed. In other words, at that period of my life, I was very lost. And what's interesting is I had spent probably a 2-week period of time driving through the desert in Nevada for like 2 weeks. And I remember saying out loud while I was driving, I know you guys are out there. I was very confused. I know you guys are out there. So there was this internal seeking going on, a frustration with the world, an internal seeking already happening within me before this event happened. So I was primed, is what I'm saying. I was primed. And so then when it happened, I instantly knew, I was ready. So that's the simple way of saying it. I was ready. He was not.
For you, as you decided to embark on this journey, which could be an extremely lonely journey, were you scared at all in going down this path? Were you confused? Were you shocked? How did you deal with it? Because I know when I entered my journey, it felt so unreal and it felt like the rest of the world was just cloaked under a blanket that they couldn't see what I was seeing, and it felt very lonely at the top. Did you get that as well?
Oh, it's very lonely. It's very lonely. And I went through, I would say I went through a period of about 8 months where I was in shock, I guess you could call it. I was in shock. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to talk to people. It, it, it- you know, all the things that followed this particular incident were so dramatic that I was forced to start meditating because I couldn't, I couldn't cope and function in this reality. Um, so I started. It didn't just when this happened to me. It wasn't just this incident. Things about me changed after that day. There was things I could perceive that I couldn't perceive before. So there was a switch that was flipped, and I couldn't shut it off. And I could perceive and see things I couldn't perceive and see and experience before. And so, like I said, I didn't leave the house. And then when I did start leaving, there was a several-month period of time where I was listening to trance music in my headphones and just walking through outside, just kind of, you know, communing with nature and with creation. I couldn't have really formed much of a conversation with another person at that point. I had a lot to process and figure out, but I eventually figured it out, and I went within, and I came to terms with what happened to me and all the things that followed that, and here we are.
At what point did you start getting recall of what was happening to you? I mean, because at this point you are, you know, I'm not going to give out your age, but let's just say that you are, well into adulthood here, and you have this major shift in your life, much exactly like what happened to me and many others who are now pursuing this field on a daily basis. I mean, did you feel different about yourself, who you were and what you were becoming?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even down to my name. I got my name through a very crazy way. Uh, you know, everything, and I've embraced it. I love the name Alara, and I wouldn't go by anything else now. But even the way that I got that name was pretty bizarre. It was beings that they spoke to me, and they called me by that name. And the moment I heard that name, and it's interesting because I had been the years prior to this, I had people would say my name, and it didn't resonate. I didn't really, it wasn't me. I don't know how else to explain it. It just wasn't me. There was almost a detachment from it. And these beings called me by the name Alara, and they spoke to me in Farsi, and they gave me a message. And this was when I was meditating. And the moment I heard that name, I knew it was my name. And for the first time in many years, I felt my name. It was the strangest thing, and I've gone by it ever since. So even my name, everything. That's what everything about my life. There's nothing about my life that did not change dramatically after that incident. Nothing about it. Everything has changed. My diet, everything, everything.
Well, let's not talk diet right now because old Dave's having, I'm not going to lie, Dave's having a fat day today. And yeah, Dave went for a workout before the show because Dave was having a fat day. So I'm just gonna, let's just not talk diet right now. I'm feeling a little down about that, but nonetheless, back to the aliens here for a
Yes.
couple of seconds here. You get contacted, you get called out, and you start changing your life into this new paradigm that is new for you. Getting back to the whole recall aspect of everything, did it take months, weeks, days, years for you to start getting recall into what happened to you and the experiences that were being very covered up within yourself?
No, I just things were revealed to me little by little, like after that day, like I said, I had never had an interaction with a ship. I'd never seen a spaceship or anything like that before that day. And then after that, it just sort of continued to the point where, that's kind of how you and I met, Dave, was through the documentary recently. And that's how I ended up getting those ships on tape. I remember after I first woke up, I remember going to contact in the desert, trying to find other people who this kind of thing had happened to. I was trying to find the others, and that's what I was even doing there. So, what was the question again? I lost track.
Just in recall to your own personal recall, when things started coming to you, when that clarity started, that, because you've had some pretty heavy experiences, not only with the extraterrestrials kind of changing your life, waking you up, but with the, you learned that you could potentially be a part of some sort of secret space program as well.
Oh, how do I come to terms with that? I don't. I don't. I don't. I've never. I don't. I feel like as I'm supposed to know things, I'll know things. They'll come when they're supposed to come. There's some sort of design to all of this process, and I don't really seek it out. I don't know why what happened to me, and I don't. There's some questions I really don't even want to know the answer to. It's just, I just know that I'm supposed to help in this process of planetary awakening and disclosure. And that's what I've come here to do. And I lost my way for a while in life, just like the Earth experience can do for many people. And, now that, I always felt like many other experiencers, I always felt from the time I was young that I didn't fit in here. I didn't know what I was doing here. In fact, I remember thinking at some point when I was in my body, now that I have a body, I'm going to do it all. You know what I mean? I remember thinking that to myself. So, I'm just happy what happened to me happened, and the experiences I started to have after that, and they've taught me a lot, and it's changed my whole perspective on this planet and on the things that go on here and the difference each individual can make. All of that perspective has been completely altered since that first incident. So it's been a blessing, but I don't, as far as that goes, I don't know. I have no idea. And I don't know if I want to know. So
what scares you about this? What scares you about finding out the answers?
That's a good question. I don't know that having those answers will serve the highest good. Number one. Number two, the waters are so muddied out there with narratives, and some of which are not truthful. And, I don't know that I don't know. We have a secret space program. We have many of them. We have ships. They're advanced. What they tell us is not the truth. And I don't know that a lot of the details that people bring forward, whether they be truthful or not, are necessary in moving forward in the disclosure situation, right? So that's what we need to be worried about on this planet, is getting them. They're just finally now admitting that UFOs are real and that we're not all insane, right? So that's progress. So it's getting from that point to, we've got a long ways to go. And if they get their way, this is going to drag out forever. So I try to contribute in the most reasonable way that I can to help wake up the population. So I do, Space Force News on Sunday nights with my co-host. And the reason that I do that is because I like to cover all the space and the science and the advanced technologies and UFOs. I like to cover all that stuff. And with articles, with sources to back up all the things that I say. But then I like to drop in my own information that I know from personal experience, and help, at least plant that seed in others where they begin to see beyond the illusion that's being presented to them.
Okay, I'm going to put the secret space program to the side here, because that's going to be a huge, huge push for us probably in hour 2 of this show. And I want to concentrate on your ET life with everything like that. How did you know that you were contacted by extraterrestrials when this entire thing happened? I know with the UFO, it makes it kind of obvious, but after that point, the messages that keep coming through, the guidance that you received.
Well, you know, the first time a blue being showed up in my, my mind's eye, and it had its head turned to the side, and they speak to you telepathically. You just know what they're trying to say to you. And it had its head turned, and I knew it had its head turned because it didn't want to scare me. It didn't want me to see it like dead on, because it didn't want to frighten me. And at first I didn't really get it, but then after a while I started to understand that those were my people, that was my family, that I had a connection to them. And that was a whole other pill to swallow. I wasn't ready to swallow that pill then. I knew this was weird down here, and what am I doing here? Like I said, I always kind of knew that, but that was a whole nother pill to swallow from the initial waking up of they tell you lies here on planet Earth, to here's an extraterrestrial. Here's what one of them looks like. Oh, and wait a second. You're related to these folks. What do you mean I'm related to these folks? I'm human. This is how far removed my mind was from this sort of topic at that point. It took them a while to get to warm me up to the idea that, we're your friends.
Did you believe at any point that you were suffering from any sort of psychosis? We have about 2 minutes before we have to go to break. Because I know I wondered that about myself. And that's why I asked.
Well, I think, again, that's why the gentleman that was there with me, that first initial time, was there. And I think that's, I'm not saying the drones came around to validate my experience, but the drones being there definitely validated it for me. So whatever of course, anybody would think I'm insane, right? But then it was it was the witnesses, the drones, the other things. It was the incidents that continued to go on over the course of time. This didn't stop after that day. When you add it all up, I'm not nuts. That's the conclusion that you reach. I'm not nuts.
I believe you. There's something about you that I believe. And I'm going to tell you, it's little nuances that the aliens wouldn't look you in the face, that they turn to the side in order to keep you not from being fearful. Okay? That happened to me. It's very resonating with me, your energy and your story. And for anybody listening for the first time wondering what this is about, this is a firsthand account of what happens when these extraterrestrials just all of a sudden pop into your life. I can tell you right now, Alara didn't ask for this. Mm-hmm. She did not. She probably had a good life going on, before that, much like all of us do in our own way. And this all of a sudden hit her like a sledgehammer into a brick wall. And it just immediately, on the snap of a finger, changed her entire perspective of what living on this planet is all about. It is very familiar for those who are extraterrestrial contactees. They want us to know something. What that is, we can't figure out the puzzle pieces, people. And that's where we all get confused. But nonetheless, we're going to continue with Alara of Sirius on Spaced Out Radio when we return on the Mighty SOR. And we're going to get into her ET experiences and the craft that she has seen in Hour 2. We will get into her secret space program. We'll take your questions as well. We have a ton of show left for you tonight. Alara of Sirius, ET contact firsthand. What's it like? How does it feel? How does it change you? Let's open up our minds, people. That's what Spaced Out Radio is all about. All right, we're clear. The audience can hear us. The radio side cannot. Okay. So I just want to we got a lot of your followers in here right now, and I just want to let them know that thank you so much for tuning in. and being a part of this show tonight. This is going to be a little bit different than maybe what you are used to, because we are a live radio show. Okay, we're on terrestrial radio, and so what we have to do is we have to gauge our show around the commercial breaks of the radio stations, of the digital ones that play us live, and the radio side that'll play this show tomorrow night. So we have to build around those commercial breaks and time everything out. So I do ask that you have a little bit of leniency, because it is going to be something that you're not used to. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat room in capital letters. We will take questions for Alara in hour number 2. So now that you got that all on board, we are here 7 days a week. I'm here Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. And of course, we have the after hours show when on from 8 p.m. Pacific to 11 p.m. or 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. So that's what we do here, and enjoy. That's what this is all about. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. See my little Band-Aid there. I owied myself. Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down or thumbs sideways. Hit subscribe if you don't mind. We'd greatly appreciate it, as we passed 16,000 today. We passed 16,000 subscribers today. Pretty happy about that. So yeah, there we go. All right. So let's see. Kaysen, how are you? Welcome in. Hank Cronenberg Van, even though I think you're Hank Van Cronenberg from Holland. Thank you so much for your super chat, along with Amy, Surf Chair, and Todd. Really appreciate it. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And who else has joined us? Kepsa, how you doing? And who else is here? Digger Dog, good to see you. Brown Dwarf, thanks for coming on in. Michelle Janae. Yeah, I said hello to you earlier. There it is. Let's see. By the way, we got some new merchandise up on our store. I made some new ones this weekend. It's kind of cool on there. What the hell? I'll show you guys. Wasn't going to, but I figure, you know what? Son of a gun. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's do it. All right. Let's share. Let's see here. Here's our store here. If you go to spacedoutradio.com. And where are we here? Magnus, how you doing, man? Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. All right, where are we? There we are. All right. I got the new Bigfoot toque on there. All right. There it is. The new Bigfoot toque. I got the new koozie up there. The Dave Scott panties and boxers are staying there. Very comfortable, by the way. I do own a pair. Not of the panties, but of the boxers. I put some new boxer shorts up there. You got the Woo Train on the front. These are the ones Nicole Sakic recommends, and the SOR logo on the back. All right. How about a Bluetooth speaker with our logo on it? A dog jacket with our logo. I even put running shoes up there. Look at these badasses, man. That's the one side. That'll be the other. You can get those. Right? What else did we put up here? I was busy on the weekend doing all this stuff. New water bottles, new ladies' jackets. Kira, we got you a new tank top. Look at this shirt right here. Think if you could figure that out. Okay, a big phoenix with a couple of guitars shaped like boomerangs. World Tour 97. How cool is that? Yeah. I had fun with that one. And this one I really enjoy. UFOs and tacos right there. UFOs and tacos. I made that. Two very, very important stuff. If you want to rock out, you have a little alien dude there playing a nice Gibson Les Paul. Because everybody must rock. Right? And of course, there it is. If you like Bob Lazar, the Team Lazar glasses. Right there. You could join Team Lazar as well. So, yeah, that's a bunch of the stuff that we have up there. It's really cool. And we got like 20 seconds. So, Simon, thank you for the super chat, man. Really appreciate your love and support of what we do. And we got like 5 seconds. Hi, Don Hendrickson, looking lovely tonight. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Alara of Sirius, her personal first-hand encounters of extraterrestrials and the secret space program. Alara, welcome back.
Hello, Dave.
Hello. Hello, Alara, my old friend.
Back again.
All right. Let us rock and roll here for you. Have you seen an extraterrestrial?
They're saying out there that my mic is too low, and I don't know that it's low on my end necessarily.
Your mic is fine. Let's just roll with it. I saw that. I'm adjusting on this end.
Okay. What was the question again?
Got aliens?
Got aliens?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't had the experience of them manifesting in front of me, but I've had a lot of really abstract experiences, including one that I thought is unusual that I haven't heard of too many people having, which is I had them leave an energetic signature on my cell phone. So it's an image, but it's not a photograph. It's the only way I have of describing it is it's an energetic signature. You know.
So what happened? Take us through that event.
You know, like I told you, I'm meditating very heavily for some years. I got up to where I was like 3 hours a day meditating. So I spent a lot of time seeking that which is beyond, you know, the five senses. Once I understood there was a whole world out there you could make contact with once you started doing that. Anyhow, I was, I guess, sort of conversing with them. And there was questions in my mind. Is this real? Is this happening? What's blah, 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 blah. And that's when I was told to kind of urge to go out and take pictures of the moon. So I went outside and I was taking pictures of the moon. And then when I turned my camera around and looked, there was an image, an energetic signature of one of these beings in the phone. So that was pretty wild, for sure. You know, it's the
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please finish.
No, it's the kind of experience that, you know, you're given a lot of experiences that are just for you. You know, it's you know, that other people won't necessarily even, you know how people are. They want stuff that's, I'm not even really comfortable showing people that photo. You know, for the most part, I've shown a few people, but I knew it was for me. It was to let me know that I wasn't tripping, you know? So
for you, as you started making your own personal connection to extraterrestrials, did they start coming in more in your dreams, or was it just little energetic flare-ups that you would get in order to know that they were present, around, or giving you a message?
So one of the side effects, and of course we could debate all day on exactly why this happened to me, or what was the catalyst, what was the cause. But after this happened to me, I started to be able to read energy. So I would say that that's more how I go through life now than my other senses, is I can, I read energy. So after this happened to me, I was able to pick up on energy shifts and things like that, and beings. I can tell when there's beings present now. This wasn't an ability I had the majority of my life. This is something new, but I can tell when there's beings around me that are not physically phased in. I can feel them. I can sense them. I can read them. So this was a new thing that happened to me, that I got these sort of kind of abilities, and I think we all possess them. It's just some people have them more unlocked than others. I think it's kind of a process, but yeah, I started to be able to perceive them, even if I couldn't physically see them. I could perceive them now.
What kind of messages were you getting, or are you currently getting from them regarding your own personal stature in life and how they have kind of changed the person you are?
I haven't been getting anything so I moved out to the East Coast about, I don't know, roughly 6 or 7 months ago, and ever since I moved out here, it's completely stopped. All contact is completely stopped, and I think I understand why. I think it's because I was getting too out there where I wasn't able to function here, and there's a lot that I need to accomplish as far as in physical life and working and goals and who knows, other things I'm sure that I can't conceive of right now, but there's things that I need to get done. And my head was a little bit too in the clouds, hence all the meditation. And I was constantly seeking to be with them and to understand them and to understand what lies beyond all this, instead of grounding myself back into this experience. And, perhaps that's what I need to be doing right now. And I think that's why I'm not being given anything. I don't even see ships right now, nothing. And it's kind of depressing. I get depressed sometimes. I get really, really depressed about it. And I don't know when or how or if they'll come back, or if it was my location. This is what you go through. Like, is it where I live, or what did I do? Or, but then you realize after a while, like, okay, no, there's something I need to be focusing on here that I won't focus on if they're around giving me, so that's all it is. But that's where I'm at right now with it.
It's the move. When I first moved up here, I lost everything. I saw my first UFO last week for the first time in 4 years.
Wow.
And
4
I
years.
thought 4 years. They shut me down for 4 years. And it was during the show last week. I ran my dog, Doug Stevenson, who's on the ground working here. Well, his working is sleeping in the studio. But I took him outside, and I saw 3 lights in a row just going like this, straight up, heading northeast. And I was like, whoa, about time you showed up, right? But sometimes you need a trigger. And I think my trigger was when I was in San Francisco for UFOCon 2022 last week. I believe like I had a regression therapy with Geraldine Orozco. And I believe that had something to do with the trigger, because one of the questions that was asked in that was, why have I been shut off? Why have I been shut down? And sometimes I think they do that, and this is just hyperbole on my part, but I think they do that in order for you to get comfortable with your new surroundings, comfortable with who you are, comfortable in their skin, because they've thrown a lot at you at this time, and you still need to digest. Because for me, when I was in the heaviness of my experiences between 2011 and 2015, it was like a boxing match. Like everywhere I turned, it felt like I was getting punched with something new. And maybe they're shutting you down a little bit or calming things down a little bit in order for you to be able to react and really decipher a lot of the information that they've given you.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason for it, and but like I said, I think it's they're letting me, like you said, it's the move, and you're right. They're letting me get something, whatever, figured out here without that distraction or whatever, because who knows if that starts happening again, how how I'll get, So I've been through a lot since 2017. I've had to come to terms with a lot. I've done a lot of research, a lot of seeking, and, had to, I never wanted to start a podcast. I never wanted to start a YouTube channel, any of this. All of a sudden I go from having an obscure life to being thrust into the UFO scene, and which is fine. I know I'm supposed to do this, and it's fine. And I've met a lot of amazing people through this experience, and I've learned a lot. It's been great in some ways, but this isn't. I didn't sign up for this. This isn't what I wanted my life to necessarily become. That's what my life is now. I'm the UFO girl. I'm the ET girl. I'm the experiencer. It's altered my life forever. Then there's no going back. Even your family. It's not just, even my family looks at me like I'm nuts. And I'm okay with that. But even they are like, I'm sure they don't go telling people what happened to your kid was, aliens. They're having to come to terms with what happened to their kid. My parents.
And I'm going to assume, like my family, nobody in your family is an experiencer.
No, not that I'm aware of. Now, my grandparents, here's an interesting thing about my grandparents. I just found this out. I didn't know. My grandparents used to go to contact in the desert when it was in Joshua Tree, when it first started. I don't know when that was, but it was a long time ago. They used to take my father there. I had no idea that they did that. So my grandparents must have known something, and maybe they were experiencers. I don't know. I never got to ask them about it. It wasn't a relevant topic at that point before they passed away. But they had to have known something, because they were going to Giant Rock and whatnot, years before, this would have been, I don't know, when did contact first start? Do you have any
goodness. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Number
so,
of 25 years ago, something like that, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm not aware of any other person in my family that's an experiencer, So I don't know what my family thinks at this point, but it's not really any of my business what they think. It doesn't really matter what they think. It just is. It is what it is.
So for you, do you feel that you have developed your own strength from your experiences of what you've learned from the ETs in order to help counsel, channel, be that shoulder to cry on for many people out there who don't have the strength inside of themselves to do this alone?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's part of my purpose here is, it's funny you just put on the screen Mountain Dreams calling me the commander. People refer to me, but I think that's multifaceted why people refer to me as that. I think I'm a very strong person, and I've been through a lot, and that's why, a lot in many different regards. The ET experiences and the ships and all that. That's just part of it. That's just part of my story, right? That's just when it gets really weird, right? But it's been an incredible journey in this lifetime, every bit of it, the good and the bad. And I think the reason I was put through all of it was to be a rock for people, to show them they're not alone, that there's other people out there that have had to go through this and process it, and really grow in consciousness and and step into their mission. Like I said, I never wanted to be out in front in the public. Like, I never wanted that, but it's what I must do for mankind. It's what I must do to elevate myself too, because it's something I not fear, but not necessarily want, And so that's all the more reason why I need to do it, because it's not something I'm really excited about stepping into, right? So it's part of my own progression as a human being.
I'm just trying to rephrase this question in my head here. Do you know if you've been taken? Are you that kind of an experiencer where they have come and taken you now? Have you been shown that?
I have no idea.
Do you want to know?
Sure, I'd be open to knowing.
Are you concerned about potentially your emotional state afterwards?
Sure, I am. Yes, I've had to process a lot already, and I've had to still function in life while having to process all this. And as you well know, as we discussed, it can be very, very lonely. And you know, but I think I've been acclimated to things over time, and I think I could handle just about anything at this point, or any truth, or finding out any bit of information or any data point. I think I can handle that. But I'll be honest, it would it throw a wrench in my everyday life for a second? Probably, probably.
For those who are battling this, and I call it a battle not because of the extraterrestrials, but there's a human element to this battle that really transcends what everybody else around you is going through. Do you feel yourself being more heightened, more on alert, more on the edge with who you are and your surroundings at all times? Because I'm getting the notion that you used to be a real extroverted type person who has become very introverted since the experiences happen.
Yes, I'm very guarded. Yes. Yeah.
Do you like that about yourself? Do you become this?
It gets lonely at times, but I feel like I mean, really the only thing that matters to me at this point in my life, and that could change, maybe, who knows, but I feel at this point that I'm here to serve humanity, period. I have no problems doing anything that will serve mankind. But as far as human relations, one-to-one, personal, that's where I'm guarded. That and in a few other aspects, because frankly, most people I have nothing. What can I even talk to them about? They'll think I'm nuts. But when you look at it from the perspective of trying to plant a seed in people and trying to elevate mankind, then you don't mind relaying a piece of information to someone, even if they think you're nuts, because you're not concerned about friendship. You're not concerned about forming a relationship. You're only concerned about leaving some sort of tidbit in their consciousness that causes some sort of expansion at some point in the future because of some other data point that happens with them. And if that's, you're fine with that being the purpose in you talking, it's the conversations beyond that maybe I struggle with now, and I'm always watching. I'm always on guard because I've had so many crazy experiences, and I don't know what's coming next. And so, yeah, it's made my life complicated for sure.
Okay. With about 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour, Alara of Sirius is our guest tonight. I'm curious, with that guarding that you have of yourself, has it affected the way your communication with extraterrestrials has come through? Because if you're guarded around you, have you opened up more to them to try and take more in, even though right now you're going through a hiatus of information?
Yes, and maybe that's the problem, is all I want to do is talk to them when I need to be down here talking to the people, and maybe that's why I'm being cut off. Because that's all I want to do is talk to them. They've got information that people around me don't have, and so, I'm trying to learn more and seek out that information. And like I said, I need to be down here helping the people around me in a multitude of ways. So.
Mm-hmm. So, do you then, for your own contact, you're doing the meditation, you're doing the staring up at the sky, the peace, love, light. whatever it takes to try and make that communication happen. Are you teaching others how to do it as well?
I've tried. For a while, I attempted to kind of start leading a meditation and that kind of thing. I've tried, but I could be doing more. I could be doing more. I think I'm a pretty busy person. I work full time, and then I do shows on the days when I'm not working. So, I literally never have a day off. So, unless I take one for myself, which I do from time to time, so I don't lose my mind. But I always feel that I could be doing more. I always feel that I could be growing more as a person, and doing more to try to, help others with what little bit of spiritual wisdom or knowledge that I've gained through this process. So.
Okay. So what is your message? We got 3 minutes left. What is your message that you want people to know? What are you putting out to the universe?
This whole experience here is a psyop. There's higher information. There's beings that watch us, hence the watchers in the Bible. There's beings that watch us. I would say both malevolent and benevolent. If you won't find until you start seeking. My heart was already seeking before these things began to happen to me. So I would say that if you're not having these sort of experiences and you want them, first of all, you have to let go of attachment to an outcome. You can't go into a meditation thinking, I want to meet these extraterrestrials, I want to meet my star family, or I want to meet, or it doesn't work like that. You have to just begin seeking, genuinely seeking from the heart with pure intent to understand what lies beyond the illusion that we're presented with every day. And I call it an illusion because that's what it is.
So do you think we're all an illusion?
To some degree, yes. I do not think this is base reality, no.
Oh, fill me in.
But there's layers. There's layers to that. There's layers to that.
So you're not you?
I don't think this is base reality. But I think that's a very complex topic. I think it's a complex topic. Where they exist, they phase in and out, clearly. We don't. They're telepathic. We're not. Why?
Maybe we are, but we've lost the tone of it.
And nothing's solid. This is a photonic illusion that we live in. So there's that level of it, right? So where is it that they exist versus where we exist? And then on top of that, you've got the illusion being presented to us by the powers that be, where, for instance, how many years we've been told there's no aliens and this and that, and our rocket program is killed. We can't get to the moon. And we lost this, we lost that. It's the perpetual deception that goes on to try to keep us in the dark about the greater picture, which I think that's it right there, is figuring out the greater picture. Because once you do, this place isn't so dark anymore, and maybe we can begin to change it.
Maybe it's just the phenomena, and we're all the phenomena.
Maybe we're them.
On that note, that's a great place to end the first hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am loving this show tonight. Absolutely loving it. I hope you are too. Alara of Sirius is here tonight. And when we come back, we are going to get into the secret space program. Does it exist? What was Alara's role in it? How does it tie to the dimensions, the extraterrestrials, and a good taco somewhere beyond the Pleiades? We'll find out as Spaced Out Radio continues with Hour 2 next. Stay tuned. All right. I'm having a blast here. Having a blast tonight. Not going to lie. This is awesome. It's good radio. Ben Williams, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. Ms. Always Watching, welcome to SOR Chat. All right. We got about 5.5 minutes. So now's a good time where if you have to use the loo, you got to refill your glass or whatever. Now is a good time.
You talking to me, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or me too. Maybe I was talking for both of us, but it's all an illusion now because of the fucking matrix that you brought into my studio. I'll be right back.
Hmm.
All right. I'm back. Old Davy's back. There we go.
Back in the saddle again. Here we go.
Here we go. We got like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So, come here often?
What do you say to that, Dave? You know?
I don't know.
I'm letting you drive the car.
Let us just have a big party on the astral plane tonight. How about that?
Right?
Who wants to join us?
Set the intent. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
Can I bring disco lights? Hey, you know what's cool? We don't have to bring anything. They just will manifest if we want them there. We can have lights, whatever we want.
Right.
Water slide with lights. How about that? A water slide with lights.
Works for me. I'm there. Can do anything on the astral
Astral
plane.
party, guys. You ready? Let's roll.
Let's rock this thing.
I love your gear, man. All your merch. That was
Thanks.
great. Your UFOs and tacos shirt. Oh, that's great. Those undies and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Hey, you got to do whatever you got to do. It's an invitation. Everybody come astral travel after the show tonight, starting at 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern. We're gonna rock the shit out of the astral plane. No country music, please, because this is a party. We're not gonna try and kill it, and there will be no soccer on the television either, because we want to have a good time. And as the clam says, please check in your luggage for the astral plane. All right.
Yes,
All right.
Invite your alien friends.
Sure. Big thank you to Todd, Surf Jer, Amy, Hank, Simon, and Allison for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thank you to all the veterans out there who are listening into our show. You always have a safe home here at Spaced Out Radio. And all our regulars and new subscribers, thank you so much. Here we go, everyone. Hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zabrini. Zabrini is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From the YouTube channel, 1 Foot and 5D. That's 1 Foot and 5D. We have Alara of Sirius. We are going to get into some deep, deep woo right now. Deep woo. So you need to put on your snorkel and your mask, because we are going deep, deep in to the woo side of everything that goes on with the secret space program. Alara, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
At what point, before we get to some audience questions, did you figure out that you may have been involved with the secret space program?
I didn't even know we had one when this stuff started happening to me. I didn't even know we had one. It was through my research and talking to different people and different people I was kind of led to that I figured out little by little that initial ship that I had contact with was us. And I've since had many other experiences. I wouldn't say as startling as that one. And I've come to learn about our secret space programs. And as far as my connection to them, like I told you earlier, I don't know. I have not done a regression. I have not done anything to try to recover anything. I just have come out here telling people what I do know, what I do recall, and that telling them that they exist and that sort of thing. But I really haven't, I haven't sought any answers as far as that goes. But
so what do you recall then regarding the program?
Just the interaction I had with that ship, and just the major thing about that experience is the way that it changed me. So I me being able to read energy, perceive, like I'm not a medium, never was a medium, but I could get messages from people that had passed away after this happened. When I touch people, the effect that it has and the things that I'm able to perceive has changed to the point where I don't touch people at random anymore. Just there's been a lot of very dramatic changes that have happened with me. That's why I was forced to meditate the way that I did. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole there. Did that ship do that to me? Did a shift in consciousness do that to me? Where did all this come from all of a sudden? I don't know.
Okay, so my question is, and I'm not trying to press you too hard here, how do you tie this into what the secret space program is all about, with a hidden agenda by some United States or world military force that is flying deep, deep into space, whether it's on the moon, to Mars, to the moons of Jupiter, or far off and beyond?
Wait, say that again, Dave. I'm not understanding the question.
Okay. How do you tie your own experiences into what most people identify as the secret space program, which is like a secret military identity that is already traveling within the solar system?
Because that ship that I first saw was a ship I've heard other whistleblowers describe and talk about. I'm not going to go into who exactly, but I literally was able to identify that ship and who makes it by seeing someone else draw it. I saw someone else draw it, who is a whistleblower. I saw them draw it, and I the moment I saw it, oh my God, that's the ship that I saw. Then, so I knew instantly that that's what it was. And I knew when I saw it, I just knew as time went on, things became more clear to me that wasn't ET. That's not what that was. So, so that happened. I ended up talking to more people. I've since figured out that it's a ship that, Lockheed makes. And, so, and of course I had to follow that trend. Why is a ship that Lockheed makes who like, why me and why then? And believe me, I've been down the whole thing. I haven't sought out any answers as to why me, except that I've had a lot of interaction since with things like this following me and watching me. I got a couple of TR-3B craft on tape above contact in 2019. And, now I couldn't see them with my naked eye. I taped them with my phone. I was taping an ET ship when this happened. And I just so happened to be on the phone with someone with a platform that could get it out when this happened. So it's just been a lot of really strange series of events that have happened in succession, one after another, over the course of a few years, that have kind of, made it clear to me that I'm supposed to help this process along.
All right. Kaysen wants to know, do you have a sense of self?
Do I have a sense of self? I have a very strong sense of self. Maybe Kaysen could clarify what he, I hope it's a he.
More on a spiritual side, a center to the universe we call I am.
Oh yeah, if anything, I see myself as I see myself more as a part of the whole now than the ego-based version of myself that perhaps would only care about this or that relating to the self. I see more myself in the big picture of humanity. Like my concern for the greater good and for them it far outweighs my own personal desires anymore. It's just now, what's the cause for that? I don't know. There's a number of things that could be the cause for that. But I've literally known since I was a kid that I was here on a mission. I just didn't know what it was. I've known that since I was a kid. I never wanted to get married. I never wanted kids. None of it. And it wasn't until later in life and the things that have happened in the last few years that I've come to understand why. There's, we've got advanced technology, and the people have no clue. They have no clue about this, and that, like I said earlier, there's so much mixed information out there on this topic that a lot of people just throw it out. They go, "Oh, well, it must not be real." Oh no, it's real. It's real, and that's why there's a lot of misinformation out there about it. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they do when someone gets some really good footage of a ship or some really good ET, they go and they put some sort of CGI thing out there, and they'll put it up in the search results above that, so that when people go and look for that, they find the fake, and then everybody goes, "Oh, it's been debunked. It's not real. It's a fake." Oh no, there's a real one out there somewhere. It's being hidden and suppressed behind the fake. That's just the way. That's the way that these counterintelligence sort of things work, with particularly this topic.
Do you feel that, there are a number of people out there who have, made a lot of erroneous claims about the secret space program, whether it's Corey Good or Randy Kramer, to name a couple, that a lot of their stories have been debunked over the years. How does yours differ from those who have tried to gain fame and potentially fortune onto this?
How does mine differ?
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to speculate on whose story is valid and whose story is not. I'll only say that, I'm talking about an encounter I had with a ship.
Perfect.
I've mentioned another encounter that I had where I documented a couple of ships. I don't have an elaborate story about meeting ETs and having secret information that only they give me, and you got to tune into me to find out what that is. If you don't see me, I'm just here to tell you that there's a secret space program and that we have advanced technology. And that if the people do not start putting pressure on them to release this stuff, we could have a whole new world. We'd have a whole new world. We need to not let this topic be something that's laughable anymore. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's real. It's all real. And the technology that's been gained from these beings is all real. And we've had it for a very, very long time. And we cannot allow ourselves to be manipulated and laughed at anymore. It's got to stop. But until people decide that and they get empowered, I fear that not much will change on this planet.
Well, and I would agree with you, because each and every one of us have our own proof. You have your own proof that this has happened. I have my own proof on what's happened to me. All right. But when we put ourselves out there on a public spectacle about this, whether we choose to or they have chosen us to talk about these very, very interesting topics, a lot of people out there have a lot of demands on what proof is. So how do you go and explain your proof, which is different from what everybody else's proof would be?
I only have my personal experiences, and for as far as proof goes, there's people that you can show them videotaped evidence all day long, and that's not proof enough. You ask anybody in the ET field, in the UFO field, they'll tell you there's a plethora of evidence out there about ETs and about ships and all this stuff. But somebody that's not ready will find a way to deny all of it. It's getting the collective prepared for this reality, I think, is important too. Getting, and I'm not talking about us, the people who have had direct experiences. We know. I'm talking about the people who haven't, and who believe, who believe what they're told about it, which right now isn't very much. So,
Let's get to Shelley's question. What messages have you got from our space company?
That's not really my purpose, is delivering messages that they have relayed to me. I have not been given any sort of messages or information. It's just been things I've been shown. In other words, that, I've been shown that there's a design to all of this, and I've been shown that we have a creator, things that I didn't understand before. Which that in and of itself changed my life, that understanding that there's an interconnectedness with all of creation and with all the beings in it. That was a very profound thing to learn and to experience. I directly experienced it. And just how important it is for us to elevate ourselves, for the human race to elevate, and I fear on a personal level that we're running out of time. We're kind of on a destructive path, and our technology has just skyrocketed way past our spiritual understanding. And I fear for us as a collective, and I really hope that more and more people, I know people are having these personal experiences of an extraterrestrial nature, and and I think that people are having these experiences so that they'll prepare the others in a way for the things that are coming. So.
Okay, let's go to Politically Incorrect, who is asking, what kind of ship did you encounter?
The first one, the one that woke me up.
More on the SSP one that you described.
So, you'll hear it referred to as the Dark Craft. It's an angular ship about the size of an SUV. It's kind of angular. It's got tinted windows. It's white. And like I said, it went from light to a ship right in front of me. Boom. And that, for somebody that doesn't understand that we have technology that can do that, that in of itself was mind blowing. So that ship allegedly is a transport ship that goes from here to the moon.
No TR-3Bs?
Yeah, I videotaped a couple of those above contact, 2 years later. Yeah. There's been, that the first experience stands out the most because it was so close and so personal. It had such a dramatic effect on me. But I've had many, many encounters and being able to perceive ships that were both above me. That night I was in contact, I knew there were ships above me cloaked. I could feel them. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. And then sure enough, I ended up taping those two the very night. So, I perceived them and experienced them a lot, but nothing, I haven't had any experiences that were up close and personal like that first one. That first one, there was no denying it. It was there for me. You know what I mean? There was no, it was not like, oh, it was an abstract light in the distance. Oh, no, it was really clear what was happening, So it was called the Dark.
Okay.
That's what it's referred to as.
Love it. Alara of Sirius is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are continuing with the ET talk. My theory of it, and the people that I'm talking to regarding the whole timeline, is there is that, you mentioned there's a danger, maybe we're running out of time or something along those lines. But what I'm hearing coming out of the Pentagon, from people who I talk to that are associated with that side of things, basically are saying this, and that is they know they're coming. They have a timeline of when they may be coming, but the issue is there's a lot of people on this planet who choose not to believe, don't want to believe, are fearful of believing for whatever that reasoning is, and it's for everybody on this planet. It is personal. And therefore, they could be waiting for an entire older generation that is more religious than spiritual to kind of move on to the next level before introducing extraterrestrials, ET contact, wherever they are from, to the younger generations who are becoming more spiritually inclined and finding their own connections to the outer stars of and the outer mysteries of our universe. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you hit a big nail on the head. There's a lot of belief systems on this planet, and the people that they hold on tight to their belief systems, and they you've got people that understand that there's more than meets the eye, and they're ready to sort of accept what's coming along, and they're processing it little by little. But then you got people that are locked into these religious belief systems, and how does that play out with the physical presence that, I don't know. We've got some growing to do, but I completely see your point, and that is a lot of it. It's the belief systems on this planet are strong. I would say the programming, right? Because a lot of these belief systems have been programmed into these people from the time they were young by various different sources. So, yeah, a lot of that's going to have to be deprogrammed in order for people to accept the bigger picture. It's a challenge.
We got 2 minutes left. Grantavius, who is growing a fantastic mustache for our Vegas party, April 22nd to 24th at the Golden Nugget, is asking, do ships cloak themselves as clouds?
Yes. Yes.
You seen that happen?
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
Yes. They can do all kinds of stuff. They can do anything. You won't see anything out there that doesn't want you to see it. Let's put it that way. The cloaking is the cloaking that we've learned, the cloaking that we have, and especially the cloaking they have, you're not seen unless you want to be seen. That's the greater mystery out there that people struggle with. It's like, how can all this be going on, and we could already be in space and all spaceships everywhere and all, how could all this be happening and us not be aware of it? How could they be hiding? Because everything can cloak. If you can build a spaceship, you can cloak it. It goes hand in hand, so it's all cloaked. And they do hide in very obvious things like clouds. So,
okay, let's sneak one more question in. We got 1 minute. Vaughn here is asking, how far can these ships travel, and where have they gone that you are aware of?
which our ships or the ET ships?
Let's say ours.
Oh, I think if I were to speculate based on my research and I think we can go wherever we want. Now, how far have we gone? I don't know, but I would venture to say we've probably left our solar system. I think we've got the tech to do that. I mean, Ben Rich said that we could take ET home. Well, ET doesn't live in our solar system, does he? Even Ben Rich went on record saying that.
Well, they might. We don't know. We don't know.
Do we know where ET's from?
Could be from anywhere.
They
Could be
dropped
from
news about
interdimensional. Could be anywhere. Alara, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have Alara from Sirius for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio, talking all things woo when it comes to extraterrestrials, spacecraft, the connections. We'll take your questions. If you're in our audience on YouTube, we'll take them when we return here on Spaced Out Radio. Boy, I butchered that part. Son of a gun. Had my audio way up too high. Shoot. Ooh. Oh well. Oh well. We'll survive. We will survive. Lots of questions going into the final half hour. I will try and get them, as many of them in as possible. Please do me a favor and put them in capital letters. I would appreciate that. 416 Bitcoin. How you doing, buddy? Who else is here that has hopped on in? Let's see here. Hi, Lunar Tina. Excuse me. You having fun?
Yeah, this is great. I'm having a great time on your show. This is a lot of fun.
Hello, Biddy TV Networks. Good to see you. All right, big question for you. Two big questions since you're new here. Hi, Ray. Good morning to you. Hey, Gong Show. What's your opinion of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else would it be for, right? I'm a big fan of eating breakfast foods for dinner. Actually, who isn't? Is there anybody? That's a better question. Is there anybody out there who is not a fan of eating breakfast foods for dinner? Really?
They're breakfast foods for a reason.
Man.
That's why they're titled breakfast foods, for God's sakes. Kind of humanity do you live in?
What about steak and eggs?
No, that's a breakfast meal.
Oh, man. You're missing out.
I'm not missing out on this one. I am completely right. Society is completely screwed on this one. Completely screwed. And science has it wrong. God damn. Terrible. Next question, because that one was obviously just a waste of a minute I'll never get back. Let's get to the next one. Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Are you on Team Rock or Team Stump?
Is that the tree, the rock that looks like a tree stump, or it's like a petrified?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. Give us what we need. Give us.
Am I on Team Rock or Team Tree Stump? You know, nothing would shock me. Like, I can't go fully in on like the dragon, you know, that there's giant dragon fossils on. I can't go all in on that, but I do think that there was gigantic foliage, you know, there was gigantic trees. I think there was gigantic beings at some point here. You know, so, you know, rock or tree stump. Yeah, I don't, you know, tree stump. Yeah.
We got 1 for 2 tonight. 1 for 2.
Not to say there wasn't dragons. I mean, I'm sure there was dragons at some point here. I definitely believe that. But dragons the size of a continent, I don't know if I go that far with it, but I think there was definitely some life forms here that we're not exactly told the truth about.
You got a lot of support. You got a lot of support on Team Stump. You got a lot of support. Yep. Good to have you on Team Stump. If you'd have went 0 for 2, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd have ended the interview like right then and there. You know, I mean, you were close on the breakfast one. Not going to lie. You were close. But, you know, we'll let that one go.
Can't win them all, you know.
Well, you know. There is no Klaus Schwab and WEF talk in the chat room, please. We're not talking politics here. Thank you. And let's see here. We got about just over a minute, under a minute here.
Yeah, I see a lot of my people out there. Awesome.
Yeah,
Hi, guys. Good to see you.
Yeah. Your people are weird. They all supported the whole breakfast for dinner bullshit too.
Are they on Tree Stump? I didn't catch it. Are they on Tree Stump? I mean, are they on Team Stump? Tree Stump. Are they on Tree Stump?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice?
I caught that. I want to say a big thank you to Jeff, Allison, Simon, Hank, Amy, Surf Jer, and Todd for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all the veterans who have tuned us in, and kind of go from there. Let's do this. Here we go. We rounded third. No, we haven't yet. We're going around second as we pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Really appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, Alara of Sirius is here. She's got a great YouTube channel called 1 Foot and 5D. Check it on out if you want to get into some seriously cool stuff, from paranormal to supernatural and everything extraterrestrial and beyond. Welcome back, Alara.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Shelly has a question for you. Your guest, which is you, mentioned going outside and looking. Do you get certain times or feelings to go out and have a look in a certain direction?
Yes. Yes. Most often that's when I see things. I'm told ahead of time to go outside. And look.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Alien Critter would like to know, what kind of beings have you interacted with? Were they corporeal or non-corporeal?
I've had a interaction with non-corporeal, with orb, what you would describe as orb beings. I've had experience with other, I guess you would call them extraterrestrials. The blue beings that showed themselves to me in the very beginning, that with the side profile, those beings. There's been other beings. So there's been kind of a variety, actually. There's been kind of a variety that have introduced themselves.
All right, let's move on. Allison would like to know, you said you are not telling us what they tell you. Why not? And what do you know about the hybridization program?
Well, because a lot of the experiences that I've had and a lot of the things that have happened, it's been very personal. It's not stuff that I really feel I am supposed to share with others or need to share with others. A lot of it's just very personal stuff that has helped me evolve and grow as a person and even have the ability to talk to people. But there's no direct messages that I've had that I need to relay to humanity, other than the ones that I feel that I've already kind of relayed tonight, which is about us evolving and changing and coming to terms with things and letting go of belief systems which limit us in our understanding of the universe that we live in.
All right, let's move to another question here from Sovereign, who is asking, what ocean rituals did you do with mermaids in Hawaii?
That's very funny.
Are you holding on to mermaid stories from us?
The mermaids are the ones that gave me my name. I mean, you call them on this planet mermaids. That's what you call them, but they're just aquafarian beings. But yes, there's aquafarian beings here, and yes, they've spoken to them. As crazy as it sounds, yes, they gave me my name. But no, I haven't done any strange rituals with the mermaids in Hawaii. In fact, I would love it if I got to physically meet one of these beings. That would be fantastic, but that has yet to happen to me. If it does happen, guys, you will be the first to know. I will let you know, because I would love to meet them.
Follow up from Sovereign. You recently took a long walk along the coastline. Did you see any Sasquatch or mermaid stick structures?
No, and now I'm being trolled, and this is great. I love you guys. No, I didn't see any Sasquatch or mermaid structures. I wish I could. I wish I could go down there and see their world down there and see what they got going on. That would be fantastic. There's nothing I'd love more, I think.
Too many sharks. Too many
Right?
sharks.
That's what people say. Be afraid of the sharks.
Yeah, not going there. All right. Stephanie would like to know, how do you feel about reptilians, and are you afraid of ET races? What is your goal to see in this community? You seem genuine and sincere. Thanks for joining us tonight.
How do I feel about reptilians? I think reptilians are magnificent creatures, and I think they're ancient creatures, and I think they're magnificent. I have not had an encounter with one. I have not interacted with one that I'm aware of, but I don't necessarily have like a fear of them per se. I don't. I mean, I know they get a bad rap here on planet Earth, and there's lots of different theories about them and narratives about them. But no, I don't. My overall look at them is I think that they're magnificent. They're different than us. And I think that differences are beautiful to me. So I don't look at them negatively.
Sovereign wants to know, why do you identify with Sirius, the Dogman star?
It was one of the first things that was revealed to me when I was seeking to understand, was that I had a connection to the Sirius star system. And when I originally woke up, the first thing I did was made a Twitter account. My Twitter account was Alara of Sirius. I just had to pick a Twitter handle. That's what I picked. And then when all this other stuff started happening and I started going on podcasts, I kind of got stuck with it. So that's just kind of how that happened. But I have a connection to Sirius, though I don't fully understand what it is, whether it's another incarnation or what. I don't yet have all the answers to those questions. I just know I have a connection. And I have Syrian traits for sure.
Jeff would like to know, Alara, when will humanity be ready for ET contact? How many years from now?
If you ask me, I think it's going to keep happening on an individual basis. Just like it is now already and has been for a long time. And I think there would just come a point where it won't matter what they try to tell us about extraterrestrials and about this whole thing. Enough people will have had experiences of their own where it just won't. It's kind of like when that preliminary report came out and they gave us nothing, right? People were just kind of like, and they went about their lives. Why? Because everybody already knows. It's not a secret. They think that they've done a psyop, but maybe to some degree that they have on the population, but the population knows. And I think this is what's going to happen with the extraterrestrials, to the point where when they finally do show up, nobody's going to be shocked. It'll be nice to finally, physically meet the beings that are already interacting with us on a personal basis.
I've heard minimum 5 years to 35 years.
What,
it's a
until
big
they show up?
Yeah, it's a big gap.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, they are waiting for the proper timing, and they have to make this planet a little bit more spiritual first, and that is happening on a daily basis and every second when new lives are being born here. That is very, very sure. Vaughn would like to know, is the intent of the Space Force, in your opinion, to defend Earth or to explore?
That's multifaceted. For sure, it's for sure it's defense, but it's also largely the creation of it is to allow for the disclosure of some of these bigger truths that are kind of monumental in nature. And I think it's kind of bringing a lot of things under one banner. A lot of these projects and technologies kind of bringing it under one banner, if that makes sense. And it is largely, I think, in defense, though there's going to be explanations. I think it's more NASA that's dealing with the exploration, or will in time in a public way be dealing with that. But Space Force will be more of like a defense thing. But I'd say both.
All right. Alara from Sassy B. Do you think all the recent UAP activity is disclosure or Project Bluebeam technology?
I think a lot of the UAP activity that we're being allowed to know about is actually us. I think they're trying to convey it that it's ETs. We look at these things we taped and we don't know who they are, blah, 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 blah. But I think a lot of that is us. So do it that way you will. But yes, I believe it's mostly us that we're being allowed to know about in that respect.
Nicola would like to know, do you have a thought as to why they would keep the secret space program from us?
Gas, coal, and oil. Simple. Gas, coal, and oil is what's making this planet go round right now. That all goes away the moment this technology is revealed to the public on a mass scale. That goes away. It changes the whole planetary paradigm. And, people that are in control of the planetary paradigm aren't ready for that to change yet, clearly.
Politically Incorrect is asking, what is your opinion of Dulce, New Mexico?
Super weird spot with super weird stuff going on multiple levels, ET and human. That'd be my short answer on that.
Miss Always Watching says, Alara, do you feel like you're guiding some people slowly to a new reality?
That is my desire, yes. And I hope that I'm doing okay in that respect. Yes, that is my desire to slowly, there's a lot of people out there that have no idea, guys, that are not experiencers, that have no clue of the deception or the things that are coming, the changes that are coming. And I know of just a few people I can, think of around me that their minds have begun to open to ETs and this sort of thing that perhaps were closed into these belief systems before. So it's happening little by little. I'm seeing the changes, and I'm grateful to just have a little small part in changing any of that. So
Jenny would like to know, what do you feel about what do you feel would be a concrete disclosure of all aliens to you?
What would be a concrete disclosure? I think, we had Phoenix Lights and people still weren't convinced that something was going, I think there's going to have to be a physical manifestation and a walking on the earth again for people to fully accept their presence. But again, as I said earlier, if enough people have a one-on-one experience, I think that will be accepted even before they actually physically walk among us like that. So,
I think you have to open up the Pandora's box. There's no question that is off limits right now until they give us the answers. Until we know what happened at Roswell, at least coming forward, it's all a conspiracy and cover-up. That's my opinion on that one. Kira would like to know, can you describe the blue beings you had contact with in your mind's eye and who you think they are?
Yeah, they had big blue heads and big, black eyes, kind of the eyes you see in the movies, those big black eyes, very, very benevolent, loving presence, just amazing. And from my understanding, they're Arcturians. So, yeah, those are my people.
Jules would like to know, are you familiar with the Domo, their ancestral contacts? Are their ancestral contacts your people?
I don't know of any connection to them. I know that I have a connection to the Aquiferians. Like I said, it's really complicated. You got the Sirius, you got the Arcturians, the three heavy presences in my life, and the Aquiferians. Now, how all three are connected and how all three of these groups of beings are connected to me, I still don't have it all figured out. I only have little pieces. So.
Allison would like to know, have you done research on alien walk-ins? Would you think this is what happened to you?
I know what she's asking. I think Yes, I do believe that that the higher aspect of my soul did walk in. So how, the walk-in topic is very convoluted, and I think a lot of people have different views and opinions on that. But yes, there is a distinct time at which the higher aspect of my soul, or a higher percentage of, stepped into this physical body during this lifetime. Absolutely, 100%.
Al would like to know, can UFOs predict the future, generally speaking? The non-us UFOs.
The non-us UFOs, right? We need an acronym for that, right? The non-us UFOs. It's complicated, there has to be an element of time travel going on, right? So you got to ask yourself, how many of these UFOs are maybe me in the future, maybe another group from the future coming back to maybe alter something at this point in time, maybe set me on the right path. I don't know, but those are definitely questions one entertains. You have to.
Joe would like to know, did we make our UAPs or did we steal some of theirs?
I don't know, but we just back engineered their technology, is in my understanding. So we've just had it for a long time, and it's, far more advanced than it's very advanced.
All right. Stephanie would like to know, Alara, what do you recommend us humans to do? How can we help? Meditate, Epsom salt baths. What are simple, conventional things to help raise the vibration? Namaste.
I say all of it. All of it. I take care of you. Take care of you. You can't take care of anybody else out there, and you can't affect change out there unless you start with loving you and affecting change within you. So do everything you can to take care of yourself and make yourself happy. You know what I mean? Take walks, spend time with your favorite pet, do things that make your heart sing. Whatever it is that makes your heart sing, do more of that. Do more of that. And if you're raising in your spirituality and in consciousness, you're going to then affect others out there. And that's just the way that it works. So do all those things.
I want to ask you, in regards to being relatively new to this field over the last year and for a couple of years, there is a lot of misguided people, a lot of misguided information, a lot of, people who have their own agendas that are out there trying to push what they feel is the correct way to disclosure or what is going on in this world or anything along those lines. How do you take all the information that you are being hit with on a daily basis and transcribing it into what makes sense for you? Because there is a plethora of information going around on a daily basis on all social media platforms.
As woo as this sounds, guys, seek and seek with it. Things have a way of, your answers will come if you're seeking to find them. You'll find them. They'll be revealed to you in ways that are kind of beyond our understanding, but things will be revealed to you, whether something's valid or not, whether it has truth to it or not, whether it holds weight. This kind of stuff, it gets revealed to you if you're really seeking to understand and to know the truth, right? Don't just buy into anything you're taught. You really seek to feel into it and to understand if this is a deception or if this is the truth. That's really the only advice I can give you, because there is so much disinformation out there. There really is, and there's so many agendas going on, right? So look for people that don't have agendas, and it's really simple. Look for a person's motive. That's all.
Would you ever go through regression therapy?
Perhaps if I felt safe with the right person. Yeah. If there wasn't an agenda, again. Sure.
I went through it for the first time.
Really?
Just last weekend.
How was that?
it was relaxing. It was. I don't have a lot of recall on it. I'm waiting for the recording to come my way, but I'm very interested in seeing what came out of it. You know, I don't recall it being emotional. I don't recall it being angry or violent or anything along those lines, because you get to direct your questions, right? Like Geraldine Orozco, who I used, she allowed me to write down the questions of answers that I wanted to know. I didn't get into my abductions. I didn't get into a lot of that stuff. There was other pertinent questions that I had that I wanted to check out. So that's what I was doing. But you have control of it if you get the right person, which is really cool.
Did you get answers, Dave, that you were seeking?
Yeah, I did. There's a few that I remember in regards to some of the questions I had. I want to make, before I explain what those are, I want to be able to hear the tape to make sure if what I remember is the same as what was on the tape. I don't want to confuse anything. So that worked very well. I would do it again. And I've tried regression therapy with a couple of other hypnotists in the past. One time I did get knocked out by one of Lynn Wallington's hypnotherapy friends, but previously in my personal life where they've actually been in front of me, I've tried twice and I've been kicked out every time. But this was the first time that I actually went under, and it was crazy.
I did it once. I did it once, and I was on a ship, and the one time I did do it.
Oh.
But it was brief, and a day where I was with other beings who I understand to be Arcturians. So I'm definitely connected to those beings. They're my family. So yeah, I was on a ship with them, and I met one of them, and it was interesting. But I haven't done extensive regression, and certainly not with someone that I really thought had the capacity to. You bring it up though. I mean, I think maybe I would consider doing it now. Maybe I'm ready now. So that's exciting. That's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw one of my past lives. That was cool. And
one of the one thing that I would suggest about it though is it's not for anybody, and I think you do have to take it for a grain of salt. I'm still not 100% convinced on the hypnotherapy. I like to have some sort of skepticism on myself and what's happened to me regarding it. So I'm still not quite sure if what I was hearing was proper,
Right.
So either way, we've got 1 minute. I need a favor from you.
Yes,
Need you to tell everybody where they can find your show and your social media. Get a hold of you.
Okay, so I have a YouTube channel called 1 Foot in 5D. That's 1 foot, and then the last part is N, the letter N, and then the number 5, and then the letter D. I do a lot of different stuff on there. A lot of what I do on there is going to be changing. I just got over being ill, and I'm still getting over that. So I didn't do any shows last week. It may be another week or so until I'm back. But yeah, I do the Space Force News on Sunday nights. Me and my co-host, Loyal to the Foil, shout out to her. She's awesome. That's my wingman. She's super intelligent. She's an awesome co-host. Can't say enough about her. We do Space Force News, which is we do Space Force, SpaceX, defense, disclosure, UFOs, advanced technology, and science. We do that every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And lots of other cool, fun stuff. We take on all kinds of subjects.
Very
definitely
cool.
Come by and say hello.
Thank you. Alara of Sirius coming up next. Let's head to the swamp to kick off hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio. Great job. Good job.
Thank you.
Nice show.
That was fun.
I like this one. I do.
It's fun.
I do.
You got more out of me than most people do.
That's how I work, man. That's how
Good
I
job,
work.
Dave.
Hey, let's talk soon. You and I got a lot of weird, strange similarities. Let's chat soon. Or you can
Yeah.
come to Vegas in a couple of weeks if you want to join us.
What are you guys doing in Vegas? You have a conference going on or something?
No, we have a fan party going on.
Oh, a fan party. Aren't we meeting in the astral plane tonight, going on water slides and
Yeah, we're going
disco
water
lights and
sliding.
aliens?
We're going to the after party tonight. In the astral realm. But great job tonight. Seriously, thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming on the show. Let's do it
For
again.
inviting me on. Yes, of
Let's do-
course, anytime.
Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll. Alara of Sirius, everyone. Let's give her a few claps.
Hi, guys. It was awesome hanging out with you. All my people,
All right.
either go and subscribe to Spaced Out Radio while you're here. Stop by and hit the subscribe, hit the like button.
And all my
you
people do
guys.
the same thing on Alara's channel. We'll make a trade. Your listeners for ours and ours for yours.
Sounds
and then
good.
we'll share them.
All right.
Yeah.
You got a great late night thing going on, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for
Take
inviting
care.
me on, Dave.
Bye-bye. I can tell you right now, that will not be the last time she's on Spaced Out Radio. That was an F yeah type of show. F yeah. I'll be right back. Come on, buddy. Hold on. Forgot something. Be right back. All right. All right, there we go. That was a good show. Good show. I liked her. I liked her a lot. She's pretty awesome. Do. Thank you to Jeff, Allison, Todd, Surf Chair, Amy, Hank, and Simon for the super chats. We're going to kick off hour number 3 right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zabrini. Zabrini is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. All right. It's that time of the night once again where we head to the swamp and our resident swamp dweller brings in another spooky story here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I would like to recount this story from my childhood, when I must have been around 13 years old, on a New Year's night in the southern English countryside. I grew up surrounded by countryside, and was no stranger to being out late at night, alone or with my dog. I felt comfortable being outside at all times. After all, the English countryside is supposedly predator-free, from the occasional, fox or badger, or a rutting deer. There was little to fear. I and my parents were visiting with my mother's parents who lived in a country house, surrounded by fields near a farm. It's a beautiful place full of lush greenery and rolling hills, and fields in every direction, broken up by thick hedgerows and small areas of woodland. A couple of my aunts and uncles were at the house, also, along with my cousins visiting from Wales. They were all busy inside chatting away after having a big dinner. My best friend at the time had come along with us, and we had retreated back to the backyard to chat and do whatever young boys do when they're bored. It was pitch black across the fields, and the back of the yard, largely separated from the front by a thick hedge. Although to my side and behind where my friend was standing was a narrow pathway that led to the back sheds and the rest of the yard, which was fenced off from the farmer's fields. Sometimes, during the day, the farmer's dogs would run along the fence line barking and carrying on as farm dogs do. They were collies, a medium-sized and commonly kept farm dog. Energetic and intelligent, they made good sheepdogs. I and my friend were talking about some usual nonsense, and I was standing by the old concrete coal bins, kicking lumps of coal back into the pile. The country was very quiet, but since I had been there many times, I had little interest in what was going on around me, and was concentrating only on what I was doing and the conversation we were having. Although the country around us was totally dark, we stood in the light of the kitchen window, lost in our own little world. My friend suddenly stopped and asked, "What was that?" I listened for a second, and after hearing a faint rumble, replied, "Must be a car." I continued kicking the coal back into the bin, watching it roll back down and kicking it back again, and carrying on with the conversation. My friend carried on also for a moment, but then stopped again and asked, "Did you hear that? What the heck is that?" I listened again half-heartedly, hearing a rumbling off in the distance, and replied impatiently, "It's just a car, you idiot." I shook my head and went back to kicking lumps of coal. Then the noise came again, but this time closer and louder, and I stopped, and my body went stiff. It was a deep, guttural growl, much too deep and loud to be any kind of dog, especially not one of the farmer's collies, which I had heard growl a few times before and mostly had a yapping type bark. The growl came again, loud and threatening, and my friend and I looked at each other with that wide-eyed look of fear you might see in a horror movie right before someone's head went rolling to the ground. That's when I looked behind my friend into the deep darkness between the hedge and the side of the house, where the path was leading into the fenced-off backyard. I saw two huge glowing eyes. They were much lower than a man, but much higher than a dog could have been, and set too far apart to be a dog either. The pupil was slit like a cat, and the irises were shimmering bright red. I do not recall seeing any other detail in that pitch blackness. I saw no nose, no whiskers, no part of the body, just those two huge red eyes hanging in the darkness. Without further hesitation, I ran inside, followed instantly by my friend, bumping into the back and struggling not to be left behind, for fear of what monster could be snatching us away. We burst through the door of the old country house and ran through the kitchen into the next room, slamming the doors behind us. We were terrified and out of breath, but I remember laughing and asking my friend, "What the hell is that?" Feeling bold in the comfort of the lighted house, we took to looking out the windows, but could not see anything. Whatever was out there had slunk back off into the darkness of the countryside. Due to the shape and color of the eyes and the deep guttural growl, we concluded it must have been some sort of big cat. It coincided with a recent story we had heard from kids at school who had recently been in the local newspaper with a similar story of seeing a big cat. These kinds of urban legends tend to go around in the quaint countryside of England, but you don't expect them to actually be true. In fact, I remember mocking the story thinking they must have made the whole thing up. What bothers me to this day is the fact that it was not the pupil of those eyes that shone as you have undoubtedly seen cats do. What bothers me to this day is the fact that it was not the pupil of those eyes that shone as you have undoubtedly seen cats do, with that bright greenish hue as light shines across them, but it was the irises that shone in a deep blood red color. As far as I know, there are no big cats with slitted pupils, even though, at night, it might change, they will still shine green. And they are round like a human. I tend to think this was some huge cat we had witnessed in the darkness that night, but those blood, red-slitted eyes still haunt my imagination, and I do not take going out into the woods at night for granted any longer.
All right, another spooky one from the man we call the Swamp Dweller around here. You can go on his YouTube channel and find Swamp Dweller Reads. That's youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. Go hit subscribe on that like I do, and then that way you will be able to check it on out and go to bed to some spooky stories like I do each and every night. Here we go. The fedora-wearing John Hudson is back for the Unbiased UFO Report. The fedora-wearing John Hudson is here We always like it when you're here, John. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well, Dave. Thanks for having me. I'm just apologize here. I'm just the name of something that I wanted to mention slipped my mind, so I was just trying to find it. But hopefully it'll come back. Yeah, but no, doing well. And boy, that was quite a guest. It was the thing I always find so fascinating about some of these guests is that like there'll be portions of their talk that like I resonate with so well, and then there'll be other portions of the talk where it's not even just that I don't connect with it, like I have like reasons to doubt it, you know what I mean? And to me it's always interesting, like how I think what she said about these experiences being personal is something that really needs to be explored at a deeper level, because I think there's really something to that.
Well, the one thing that I have said on this show before, and I think you and I have said it in conversation passing, the one thing that I've learned a lot of that I didn't really know coming into this 7 years ago was that the phenomena seems to hit all of us at a different pace, a different time, and in different ways. And this is where, when people say, well, where's your proof? Where's your evidence? You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. Is it going to happen in the middle of the night while you're sleeping? Is it going to happen when you're driving your car through a countryside, because you want to go for a picnic somewhere, or maybe you're on your way to a golf course and you get hit there. I mean, you just don't know when it's coming. That's the interesting part. Oh, you muted yourself, John. You muted yourself. You are muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. But I mean, it's I mean, there's definitely some crazy stuff going on right now. But let me get to my notes here. Yeah. So, whoops, wrong notes here. Oh, there we go.
Where are you going to take us? Where are you going to take us today?
So a couple of different places, and some of this stuff is stuff we're going to talk about. Some of this stuff are more encouraging for you guys to go do some research on your own. But essentially, it's, to me, we're reaching this point now where we're starting to see things we're going into a parallel portion of this, where essentially you have many different threads progressing, and in different ways, in their own ways, which is awesome, because now you have this replicative effect. In that, the first thing I want to talk about is your friend Daniel Otis coming out with a nice little report of a little incident that happened on, let's see, when was it? It was March 29th. So a very recent case involving NORAD, and it's not, there wasn't anything specifically about this case that I found really interesting. Some of the back and forth that happened in some of the dialogues that were of people debating it, I would almost argue was kind of more interesting, just the way people were looking at it. But what I like about this, and what I want to draw attention to, is that this should be normal, right? Like the way Daniel Otis is approaching this, the way this case is being handled, we should be seeing a ton of these. These should be happening all the time. Like this is a fantastic example of how this sort of reporting should be done, and how this sort of information should be getting out. Now, beyond this, now you can decide, okay, what other parties want to get involved and investigate it further. But having this point, this is just, I honestly just want to give a nod to Daniel to say, hey, man, this is great. But I also want to find out, being that you do have a relationship with him at some level, had you heard anything about this case? Was this anything that piqued your interest?
You know what? This is new to me. I didn't get a chance to read Daniel today, but the fact that he has brought out another story from NAV Canada, that they notified NORAD about some sort of bright orb in the sky, is always good news when it happens.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing, is it was a very it's a very dispassionate, just common sense sort of report, and and as you said, bright orb in the sky, and like I said, to me, this is just I love the fact that it was so recent, but I also loved it as just this really nice example of the type of reporting that I would like to be seeing like all over the place from every country. Like, this is awesome.
Well, I mean, it also goes to show that it's the way they're reported too, John. Like, Canada doesn't go to them. Yeah, the military gets the reports. I mean, don't forget, these are also the reports that are deemed non-classified. There are a lot of classified reports up here that I'm sure will never see the light of day. But I mean, you're right, though. I mean, these type of reports don't hurt. They enhance the research of the phenomena, and we do need more of them. I think you're very, very correct on that. And the unfortunate part about it is the reporters who are doing these reports are not getting them into mainstream, John. They're getting them onto the internet, which is fantastic. But there's still a giant chunk of the population in North America who still views television, newspapers, and radio as a major source of getting their news, and
yes, but
it would
the
be
only thing
nice.
I agree with you, but the only thing I would add to that is that I think that those sort of news delivery systems are very reliant upon this model where they have some background on what it is, they have some hypotheses on what's going on, and they have some ability to get some answers. And in this case, none of those things exist. And so I also think that this is a story that's in such an early form that it's not really palatable to those kind of media streams. Now, if this coming out this way triggers 4 or 5 reporters to then dig into it, and one of them really pulls a good story out of it, then I think you take that to those major medias.
Well, I mean, the fact that, like, up here in Canada, where Daniel Otis is located, he's located out of Toronto. I mean, he also works in the newsroom of CTV television. Can't get this stuff on. The editors don't want it. True story.
So beautiful. That is so beautiful. Oh, Daniel Otis, sir, you are one of us.
He knows. He knows the struggle.
That is so funny, man. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. The guy that the Canadian government deems.
Hold it together, man.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. I love it. That is beautiful. Sorry.
Hold it together. But that's the reality of the story. The media up here does not want it. They're not even interested in it. They still have that old stigmatism of, UFO stories are the death knell of journalism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part.
But I do also think, and I know I think Ross Coulthard has talked about this. I do think that there's also this challenge that that the media is kind of expects to receive content in certain formats, and we still haven't matured to a point where I think we're producing the evidence of what we're seeing in really digestible forms for these types of media forms, right? Ways that they want to digest them, that encourages them to digest them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, hey, if the reports keep coming out, eventually the journalists up here and the media outlets need to start taking note. That's what we can hope.
Yeah, agreed. And you're right. And you're right. A lot of these over a long period of time will have its own gravity.
No, and I agree. I very much agree. All right, what do you got for us next? George Knapp, once again.
What I wanted to point out, this one is more of an advertisement for you guys to go to investigate, because there wasn't anything about it that specifically that I learned that really called me out. But what I loved about it, and the reason why I want everyone to go listen to it, is because we all have this problem where we get these same people being interviewed on these same channels, and you might get some acknowledgement of a continuous a story arc, but usually you don't. You get all this repetition, and sometimes you get different guests on different shows and different patterns. You might get something different, but this was Knapp and Kelleher being interviewed by Jay King, right? Who we know and love, and it was just it was a nice take. It was a really fresh take. It was a different way of approaching their story, and you could just tell their comfort level was different with him, and it was just an excellent interview. And I think it's a great example of why you should really seek to listen to the people you like to hear interviewed by other people that you may not be familiar with, because sometimes you get a new angle, you get a new point of view, and it's super helpful.
Well, you know what? The one thing about it is when you hear somebody as professional as George Knapp going around talking about this, all it takes is one question to make the interview sound completely different than what the talking heads have been asked before. And they're ready for the same questions. They're ready for the same information to provide. And when you're a pro and you've already kind of memorized your script on what you're going to say and how you got it all going, it is something that you prepare for. But I mean, the one thing about somebody like George Knapp, and the reason why I am a fan of his, and I believe he will be attending our Vegas party here on the 23rd down in Las Vegas when all of us are down there for Spaced Out Radio. I really do believe that his intention of trying to get this story out is very good. I mean, he is old school journalism. They don't make him like that anymore. They really don't.
I concur. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And the thing is that's the thing is that we just, in many ways, we've just gotten lucky. We've just gotten lucky that we've been able to attract people like Knapp, like Ross Coulthart. I mean, I don't want to even try to list the rest of them because there's actually many that should be listed. But we've been super lucky. We've been super lucky. So the next thing that I want to temper my excitement with this, because I recognize that a lot of you won't get as excited as I am. But essentially, the DIRDs, okay, what does the acronym stand for? Anyway, the point is, these are the documents that were all the result of essentially ATIP and OSAP. This is basically the bulk of the papers that were essentially requested by all of the different researchers and all different groups to say, hey, in your field of expertise, what do you see happening 50 years out from now? They were not told it was part of a UFO program. They were not told it was part of a paranormal program. They were just told, hey, in your field of expertise, take it out 50 years and show us where you think we're going to be. And a lot of these papers have been classified. A lot of these papers have been difficult to get. Over time, we've been getting more and more and more of them. And essentially another dump of them just came out. In this case, the link is to a nice collection that was put together by Alejandro Rojas. So thank you, sir, for doing that. But there's several other ones out there. Keith Basterfield's the one I usually go to for these sort of things. And that's actually where I got this link from to be the first place. But the point is that if you like that level of technical detail, if you like geeking out on the physics, the defense aspects of it, if you want to read real papers, this is a treasure trove of information for you to just gnaw on for days. And I could not encourage you more to dive into them, because it really gives you a point of view of where we could be going in the near future, and it's incredibly exciting. You can kind of infer all the different tie-ins that you might think exist for different UFO programs and so forth, but they couldn't do it that way. They had to play it clean and tell them that it was all just research.
All right, John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to continue with the Unbiased UFO Report with the fedora-wearing John Hudson. We have Shirky Poo's news coming up as well. Stay tuned. It's a jam-packed final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, returning right after this. All right, we're clear? Did you mute yourself?
Aha. Oh no. Sorry, I was still looking for that that name of that organization that I wanted to mention. Oh come on! Don't do that to me. Wow. It's been a while. The thing is though is as much as I do like Knapp's reporting abilities and so forth, I gotta say, like, and I think this is a really unfair aspect of the media world, and that is that I have to admit, like, I really think a lot of what I like about Knapp is his voice and his personality. And I can't even put my finger on exactly what it is I like about that. But it's like, like when he comes on, like coast to coast on a Sunday night, like I'm like a kid in a candy store again, man. I'm so excited, and it's like, and yeah, it is all of his abilities and his background and blah, blah, blah. But, a lot of it is just, it's the inner nature of George Knapp that he shares in his field, right? It's what he is that comes out in the way he does it, and that's really what I think what a lot of us like him for.
Makes sense. I would agree with that.
I'm always hesitant to talk about that that path of things because it's to me it's kind of like to me it's kind of like if an engineer came to you with this incredible car that they designed and they talked about all the different features they put into it and you went, yeah, it's great, I like it because it's blue. It's just kind of like I don't want to like take away from the work that Knapp has done by just saying, oh, I just like him because of his voice. So that was my hesitation.
I hear you. I'm hungry.
I'm excited that we get to see you in a man bun.
I'm not
60,000. Right? Man bun. You agreed to that, dude. I have it recorded.
Did not agree to that. You were on drugs. Lots of heavy drugs.
You look so cute.
Thank you. You make me feel so warm and fuzzy.
I got to tell you, the skill of keeping a dialogue going that's even remotely interesting while trying to read questions and pick ones out to answer, no matter how many times I do it, I'm always impressed with how difficult that skill is. It's quite a challenge.
I want my apple. And I'm like an hour away from my apple.
What's your favorite kind of apple?
Red Delicious.
I recently got turned on to a one called Cosmic Crisp that I'm really, really, really liking.
I also like Ambrosia.
It's really funny. Like I'm amazed. Like I go to the grocery store here, and there are probably like 6 different types of apples available, and each of those are available in organic and non-organic.
We've got 45 seconds here. I want to say a big thank you to Todd, Surf Jer, Amy, Hank, Simon, Allison, and Jeff for the awesome super chats tonight. I'll eat any apples there, Duke. I just love apples. And a big thank you to all of our new subscribers as we surpass 16,000 tonight. We really do appreciate that on our YouTube channel. Wow. You know what? I'm really starting to believe that the way things are going, we do have a shot at hitting 20,000 by the end of the year.
Of course we
We
do.
do. I'm pretty
Of course we
pumped
do.
up about that. That would be fantastic. Fantastic. 10 seconds. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning on in to Spaced Out Radio. We very much value your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the fedora-wearing John Hudson and the Unbiased UFO Report, going over these documents called the DIRDs. John, many of us out there in UFO land may not know what they're all about. Give us a warm-up.
So basically what happened was that at a point in time during the OSAP adventure, it was decided that that they would reach out to a number of experts in different fields and not mention anything about what the goals were or anything, and just go to them and say, hey, look, we want you to look out 50 years in your field and be speculative, but be careful and basically show us where you think this is going, right? And in the end, we got, I believe it was 30. I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe there are 38, and I don't remember. I think we're up to 33 now. We're getting close. We're getting really, really close, and it's been fun, kind of in this adventure, because in some cases, they've been hard to get through normal means. But then if you found that professor and emailed him, he'd be like, oh, sure, I'll give you a copy. So it really kind of depended on a bunch of things. But essentially, these were some really advanced concepts. So, for example, DIRD 18 is on traversable wormholes and stargates. DIRD, let's see, the role of superconductors in gravity, quantum topology, negative mass propulsion. I mean, these are, essentially when this list came out, actually, there was a lot of reporters that kind of lost their noodles over it and were like really upset, saying, why are we spending taxpayer dollars on all this wooey stuff? And it's like, no, it's just a paper, relax. But the thing is that it's kind of a funny thing that happened in that none of these people wrote these with any kind of UFO stuff in mind. But if you put yourself into the seat of say, like Hal Puthoff, and now read these papers and now ask yourself, okay, if I was trying to figure out how certain UFOs behave certain ways, and I was trying to use this method to figure that out, who would I go to? Like, what fields would I be exploring? And you can start to kind of see, where some of this stuff maps, like, very obviously with the warp drive stuff, and may map less obviously with, like, metallic spintronics, which actually may end up being related to the metamaterials. So it's like I said, you could really bury yourself for a long time. I don't even know where I am at this point. I have not read through all of them yet. I mean, it's if you really want to go through them and understand them, it's a lift.
The purpose as to why the public should take note of these documents, for many of us in the UFO field, we're going to be like, hey, man, like, why aren't you reading these? But for the purpose of the audience out there who's not into the UFO field as deeply as we are, Why is this something that they should be paying attention about?
Okay, so where I would argue that people should be paying attention to it is that what this also is this is a bit of a blueprint to say, if we figure out what all these things we're seeing are doing, if we figure out all that physics, that is very likely to result in what these papers predict, right? Because these papers are predicting a rather optimistic view of future development, right? And so when people ask, well, okay, so big deal, aliens are here, why do I care? How's it going to impact me, right? Well, the way it might impact you is, being able to, society being able to really take advantage of superconducting, right? Being able to really actually, there's very few places that are actually, I think New York has a power line that's doing it now, but I mean, it's incredibly rare. And so there's a lot of these things that once they get productized, essentially, there is it's huge ability, and in many ways, this is a map of why you might care, because these are all the fields that are going to be impacted by those discoveries.
All right, now.
But with that said, let me caveat really. They're deep and technical, so they're not everyone's going to love them, right? Just to warn you.
All right, sounds good. Let's get right to the final topic of the night with you, my friend, where we are looking at. Let's see here. What do you have for us?
This
Daniel Pay and the Plasma Project.
This is going to be a difficult one to discuss, but I'm going to try. Okay, so what this is about is that for all of us that are primarily consuming research that other people do, we do maybe some of our own, but a lot of our research is reliant on others. The value that we can all add is when we start picking up distinct data points across many different things that start to kind of stitch together into story arcs that start to explain things. And a lot of times these things are very hard to find. And I think that we might have one here. I don't know this for sure yet. And so I wanted to just share it with everyone to see if who agrees and if people are looking at it this way, and then where this might go. Because one of the challenges we have is that a lot of these concepts get very deep and then they don't go anywhere. And so if you look at the interview that Salvatore Pais just did with Kurt over at the Toe channel, he goes into some very specifics about certain things, but then he backs off when he starts talking about how the plasmas behave as they relate to the materials that are containing them. And there's certain places where it gets to the plasma level where he backs off a bit, and I can't talk about this, I can't talk about that. But some of the things he talks about in that plasma model actually start kind of dovetailing in a weird way to something called the Sapphire Project. It's SAFIRE, which is essentially a startup company that is studying the advanced science of plasma, and essentially some of the rumored, and they consult with a lot of the people from our community, like Hal Puthoff and so forth. And these, it's actually I think, I don't remember who it was that did most of the good work on the Sapphire Project. But if you reach out to them, they will send you like a quarterly report on their progress that I get from them. They're pretty nice. They have the government went in and kind of and secured part of their work, and so that's part of the reason why they have to be so careful. But the thing I'm getting at is that we look at the Foo Fighters from the you look at the orbs, you look at, and then you start looking at what the Sapphire Project's looking at, because these are talking about orbs that self-organize, orbs that self-mold into certain forms and so forth, almost as if the orbs have some awareness of their own, right? And then you look at all the orb stuff, and then you start looking at the Sapphire Project, you start looking at Hal's involvement, and then you start looking at Salvatore Pais and his talk with Kurt. And the thing is that I don't know for sure. This is a very early set of tells, But what I wanted to do is I wanted to point it out to people, because to me, this is where things get fun, and this is where a lot of us can actually bring a lot of value to the community, because we all notice different tells through these different streams, and we can all tie them together in different ways and interpret them in different ways. This one I'm hoping is going to turn into something. I don't know that for sure, but this is a great example of the kind of thread that you want to pull on if you can find it.
I think that's kind of exciting about that, because when you get into plasma and you get into other sorts of chemicals and everything that goes along with the entire UFO ET phenomena, whether it's, something like Stefan Mikulik saw back in 1967 at the Falcon Lake incident, where he watched this craft, it looked like it was dripping metal. And we've heard that from other people as well. I mean, there has to be, John, some sort of indicator as to what these craft are made of, what their chemical compounds are, and how they are able to do what we are doing. So is that kind of the process of this type of forward scientific thinking?
Yes, because, for example, one of the things that I've studied it for a long time is something called leaner, which is essentially a rebranding of cold fusion, right? And the process which happens is still being argued. But one of the things that's been argued is that there's some sort of a plasma as a plasma tie into it. And one of the things that the Sapphire people are finding is that there does seem to be, just like with Leaner, a weird transmutability to it. And what I mean by that is that you can take two elements and get a third element out, right? So you can basically take something to with a linear reaction and produce it. So the result is it spits out titanium or something. Well, it's more complicated than that. But the point is that you, because of the massive amount of energy being released, the whole idea is that you are actually transmuting in a weird way, like not like a philosopher's stone sort of thing, but kind of close. And so the thing is that if through the Sapphire project or some other project, we figure out that there's some sort of plasma configuration you can create where it occasionally drips a certain metal, that's it. We figured it out, right? Like if we can actually do something like that in a lab or in a field and actually get it to produce, say, okay, now to your exact point, now you got something.
That's why you're the fedora wearing John Hudson, always bringing the science and the woo to us, man. It's a nice, healthy combination that you bring.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate being here.
Well, you know what? We got a couple more minutes left before we have to ship off out to the news here. So in my conversations with people, we have looked into the aspects of the entire propulsion system. Everything seems to be around propulsion. How are they flying? How are they having anti-gravity without wings, without any sort of
because that's safe
engine? Okay, where does the idea of plasma and everything kind of fall in regards to these types of phenomena?
Okay, so that's another place where we have this really cool possible story arc, right? Because if you look at what Dr. Paez talks about in his interview, what he talks about is this idea of and in his patent is a dual layered hull, and in between the space between the two holes, there is this plasma, and in his design, it's being done through a resonance field, I believe. I think it's this frequency manipulation. But what's really interesting about his model is that if you then go back to what Edgar Fouché claimed how the TR3B worked, and then you go back to the very early story from the 50s that I believe Fouché also is one of the original tellers of, about the large rig that was kicked down the it was like a large airplane enclosure, and they thought it didn't work, and they were mad, and so they kicked it, and basically this large metal enclosure like lifted off the ground and skipped down the room, and to the shock and amazement of everybody, and you can start seeing how You can start seeing how you start tying these all things together. And so, yeah, it could be that not only is plasma, plasma might be, but be an incredibly important thing as it comes to what we're seeing as far as orbs and so forth, but it might be that mastering plasma as a state of material is required to get a plane of any sort to behave like the ones we're seeing.
Wonderful. John, we're going to have to say goodnight to you right there because we do have to beat on over to Shirky Poo's news before she cracks the whips on us and says, hey, boys, that's enough. But thank you for another great report. We'll talk to you in a couple nights.
Yep. Thank you, Subs. Have a good evening.
All right. The fedora wearing John Hudson, everyone. Here it comes, Shirky Poo.
And this is how it ends. Games of revenge that no one wins.
All right.
This is how it ends.
The single most Canadian story that I have for you. Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that Richard Valliere must pay more than $7 million in damages for his part in one of the biggest heists in Canadian history. Valliere is accused of being the ringleader behind a large-scale theft of maple syrup from Canada's strategic maple syrup reserve. Yeah, we have reserves of this. Other countries have oil. We have maple syrup. Yes, Canada has a strategic maple syrup reserve because, well, what else are we going to do with it? The great caper of Valliere and his associates is today known as the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist. In total, the gang pilfered more than 3,000 tons of gooey, sugary goodness from the national stockpile. Of course, they didn't pour all of their haul on pancakes, though we have zero doubt that they did partake in some of the loot. Instead, they sold it forward, making a healthy, comfortable profit. But if there's anything Canada's law enforcement officials won't stand for, it's maple syrup theft. Yeah, you can break into jewelry stores, steal cars, jaywalk, do all sorts of illegal stuff in Canada. But you mess with the maple syrup, that's like dropping the gloves in hockey at center ice. We just don't stand for that. As soon as the authorities became aware of the crime, they tracked down Valliere with a vengeance. So, how'd they do it? Well, the sentence from the court, long time coming after all the heist took place more than a decade ago, but to get the full picture, got to go back to 1958. That is where the Quebecois maple syrup producers banded together to collectively market their product. Fast forward to 2000, where they created the National Strategic Maple Syrup Reserve to safeguard its members from the syrup's market price fluctuations. And then in 2011, the prices were even shooting higher per barrel. Well, of course, there's some money to make off of this stuff. But nonetheless, Judge Raymond Provost sentenced Valliere to 8 years in prison, $7.5 million in fines within 10 years to be paid, and an additional potential 6 years behind bars just in case he screws up. Yeah. All for piddling about an $800,000 profit for his crime. Yeah, don't mess with the maple syrup. A Texas drone business teamed up with an online content creator to provide a giant QR code over Dallas, and they rickrolled the entire city. Digital content creator Jarrett Gines, best known as the creator of the Epic Nerf Battle series of events, teamed up with Fort Worth-based drone display company Sky Elements to put up a giant QR code in the sky over Dallas. People on the ground who scanned the QR code with their phones were taken to YouTube video of Rick Astley's song, Never Gonna Give You Up. Yeah, a classic online prank known as a Rickroll. That's right, Dallas. You were witness to the first ever drone Rickroll in history. I thought you would get a kick out of it, Gines said on his Facebook page. Sky Elements posted a video of YouTube showing some of the behind-the-scenes footage of how the QR code was created by arrangement of drones and the reactions from people on the ground. How do you rickroll an entire city like that? My goodness, fantastic. All right, let's get disgusting here for a minute. Lab-grown lion meat could soon be set to go on sale in the United Kingdom, as well as a whole menagerie of other exotic meats that haven't actually come from animals. This is certainly a wild creation and probably raises more questions than it has answers with regards to whether or not we should be eating meat and where that meat comes from. Basically, the meat is cultivated and has been pitched by food technology startup Primeval Foods. It's not just lion meat. There's tiger meat, elephant meat, giraffe meat, and even sushi made from zebra that could end up in restaurants if the products manage to pass food regulatory tests. The argument is that the lab-grown meat is more climate-friendly than plant-based meat alternatives. However, even telling a vegan that no animal was technically killed to make their tea might be a hard sell when you're trying to get them to dig into safari burgers. How about this, vegans and all you fake meat people? Stop calling meat meat if it's not meat. Your fake meat isn't selling on anybody. It's horrible. Horrible decision. Get the word meat out of your vocabulary. Nobody wants your rubberized food. It's terrible. Oh, this gets me angry. And I'm hungry right now, too. All right, finally, California man decided to voice his negativity towards a dentist as he protested outside his office while wailing on a guitar. Lane Barton from Merced, California, jammed out in front of the Western Dental and Orthodontics with his electric guitar with a sign read that said, "Western Dental sucks." He said he and his family have been going to Western Dental for months. Plenty of negative experiences. The man said appointments have been an hour or two late, with one appointment canceled for no reason. Oh, that's just terrible. And he's rocking a good Ibanez there, too. So you never go wrong with that. This guy knows how to rock. Fantastic hair. Good protest. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the news. To our main man, the fedora-wearing John Hudson, for the Unbiased UFO report. Swamp Dweller for another great story. And Alara from Sirius for telling us about her encounters with extraterrestrials. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Spreaker, Facebook, and on Twitter.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Take me to Shrek's loving embrace. What the hell did... Oh, yes, the swamp. Swamp Dweller always getting in there with some comment that I have to think about. One sec here, Fedora. Show of hands in the chat room. Should we have the Swampy back in May to tell us some more spooky stories? What do you think? Hey, John.
Yeah, I think we should always. I think we should always welcome him on. He's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, no. He's got a great attitude, and yeah, no, I love the dude. I'd love to meet him.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. knowing where he started his channel to where he is now. Oh, look at this. Tag me in, Dave. I'm here to slap up the fedora guy. Oh, the fedora wearing John Hudson about to get slammed in the swamp.
I love the Shrek comment though. That was awesome.
Did you see Mr. Beast? Mr. Beast just came out with Shrek wraps, like green colored wraps.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my daughter watches Mr. Beast sometimes. That's basically my exposure to Mr. Beast.
I like Mr. Beast. I do.
Really?
Yeah. I've watched every episode the last 2 years.
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Ugh.
Well,
Hi,
you know
Nikki.
what, man? You
Gorgeous
gotta,
D Spiker.
you know, for someone to create content that you can personally choose to watch on your own for your own enjoyment, right? And that me being pretty much the same age, but growing up in a completely different part of the world, right? Like different cultures, roughly similar enough, but you know what I mean, feeling the same way. And then my daughter, 6 years old, feeling the exact same way. That's actually pretty impressive to produce content that is enjoyed across that wide of an age spectrum and that wide of a so I mean, you know, to that end, I guess he deserves the
I like it.
for it.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
I tell you, you know, the problem I have with him and his whole show, and I think it's I think the funny part is I think it's exactly why it's so popular. Is that like him himself and a lot of times his guests, they're really like apathetic. I mean, there's really like this this just blah nature to it in a way. Just like there's no it's really hard to explain. It's I don't know, there's just kind of like a lackadaisical feel to it, I guess.
Yeah, but
And,
they're ordinary. Look, they're ordinary people who've become these stars, not by choice. And they're a bunch of young men making millions of dollars a month, and admire that. I love the passion that they have.
I guess I would like to see
More cowbell,
more improvement.
more improvement on what?
Just change. You know, just he has a way of doing it, and it's been that way for a long time. And I get it, it works, and it's making a ton of money. So and it may be like totally just him how he is personally, but I would just like to see, I don't know, I like to see people grow, you know.
Well, considering he has the number 2 YouTube channel next to a video game player named PewDiePie, and Mr. Beast has like 94 million subscribers, I think he's doing all right.
It's
I
fascinating.
think he's doing all right.
It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah. They've got like 4 or 5 channels.
Say again?
They've got like 4 or 5 channels. And a lot of the money, the one thing I like about them is a lot of the money that they're making, they put right back into people or the community or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it's really funny. Like, I only started watching Mr. Beast because of my daughter. There's another woman who does a YouTube channel, and her name, she goes by Sniper Wolf. And dude, this girl is funny. She's funny. And actually, like, Joe Rogan like called her out the other day, like, for being funny. She was all excited about that. But my daughter found her. My daughter watches her, and now I find myself watching her. I would say that 80% of the music in my current playlist are all songs that I only learned about their existence because my daughter was listening to them. It's really cool.
Right, Enzo. How was your weekend?
Oh, weekend was lovely. Yeah, weekend was lovely. Weekend was mostly playing Minecraft and listening to George Knapp. So it was nice. It was it was actually really lovely.
I went for a drive looking at my potentially new Bigfoot area, and I couldn't get up to where I wanted to go because all the side roads were like still filled with like a foot and a half of snow.
Boy, a foot and a half of snow, that isn't very much, is it?
No, but you get stuck when it's wet like that. It's easier to get stuck, and it carries your vehicle places you don't want to go, like the ditch. I did not go in the ditch.
Yeah, I have to admit, I think one of the scariest places in the entire universe is the parking lot of a ski resort. Like, all those people driving around who just have no experience driving on ice, have no experience driving on snow. It's very scary. Yeah, I know. It's like snow. I think it was 70 today here. It was nice today. Yeah, I got to 72 today. It was lovely.
I had a good talk.
It's going to get 48 tonight. That's going to be cold.
Oh, 48 t-shirt weather. Buddy, I have it at night over here. It gets to freezing. I have my window open. That's how we roll here. I had a good talk with my good friend Sean Cahill this afternoon.
Oh, yeah? How's he doing with all of his recent exposure and so forth?
Oh, he's doing great.
But is he happy with? I've been really impressed with what he's been saying, and I just hope he's as happy with it as I think most of us are. Because he comes off as someone who might be a little critical of himself, so that's the whole reason why I asked.
He is highly critical of himself. Highly critical of himself. We got to try and break him of that habit. It's too hard on himself. Then again, I guess it takes one to know one. You know?
But I hope he's pleased with his recent stuff, because he's lately he's, I mean, not that it's ever been subpar, but I've been really impressed with what he's been saying lately. It's been nice to hear.
I think
so.
You know,
I gotta say, oh, I'm sorry. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about Sean?
No, you continue on.
The one thing about what your guest said tonight that I've been thinking a lot about myself is this idea that, with the exception of the very rare circumstances where people see something together, that almost all sightings are just personal.
Yeah.
They were just there to trigger something in you. and they're only going to make sense to you. And that's a problem because that, for a lot of people, that would essentially mean it's not real. Because the very definition of something that's real is something that can be seen by more than one person, right? Um, and um, so it's almost a dangerous way to talk about it. But the truth of the matter is that I'm starting to believe that this is a good hypothesis, because if you think about it, I think one of the reasons why we have so much trouble reporting what we see is because it's so personal, because it doesn't translate well to others, because it is meant for the people who saw it only. And so I really applaud. I'm sorry. What was her name again? Your guest tonight,
Alara of Sirius.
Alara. I really applaud Alara in her resistance to talk about what they had told her, because I think she's right. I think that if now, I think that she would be fully in her right, in my opinion, once again assuming this is all true, to say to them, hey, I would like to tell them these things, is that okay? But I think fundamentally her general concept that what she's told is for her, and unless she's specifically told something to tell people, that she shouldn't make that assumption. That's actually very polite of her. I mean, it's actually very reasonable of her. Shows good character in her. So
She's a good egg. She's a good egg, that one. Magnus, how you doing, buddy? I'm really craving the apple right now.
I must admit, though, I really prickled at all the 5D talk. The 5D talk really bugs me. Really bugs me. Because people think like the fifth dimension is like a place that has its own 3 dimensions. But by definition, the fifth dimension is just another dimension added to the 3 that we already have, or then you'd have to order 4th and the 5th. But the point is that most people, when they think of 5D, they think of 5D as being a place you can go to, and it doesn't work that way. It'd be like have you watched any of those Flatland videos where you see the person that's living in 2D and how they can't see the persons in 3D? You can kind of see the difference between the 2D world and the 3D world. Have you watched any of those? There's some great videos on it. It's a really interesting thought experiment. And what it shows is that there are a bunch of angles that exist that a 2D person cannot use to see a 3D. Like they can't. And so that the reason why I bring that up is to say that there could be space created by a 4th or 5th dimension that allows for things to exist inside of it. You could even have nested dimensions. But the whole idea is that 5th dimension isn't a whole nother place that has its own 1st, 2nd, and 3rd dimensions. And that's what TV has shown us. When we go to another dimension, we go there. We go physically to that dimension. Now, it might be that there is also that kind of dimension as well. That there might be actually parallel, how would you say that? Cloned parallel orthogonal realities, I guess, brains, you might even call them. And the meaning membrane. And, it could, I mean, this is the one challenge I have with all this dimensional talk is that, people always think that, like the many worlds interpretation, for example, is tightly coupled to the idea that each universe that's made is an exact replica of the other with just a small change made. The idea that every every point you make where you have a decision to make, that it fractures off multiple timelines, that for each decision that you make, that's not required for many worlds necessarily, right? And so what I mean by that is to say that some of those other worlds may not be clones of ours. They may be worlds with completely different fundamentals. They may be worlds where, protons weigh twice as much for some reason, right? And everything is just cockeyed to our point of view, right? There's so many different ways that it could go. And it's many dimensions is not always this idea that there are a copy made, which I like Everett's work. I do. I think Everett I think he had some good, I think he put out some good papers. I think that multiple dimensions has to be considered, but I think this idea that at every decision point that there's an entire copy made just to let that decision play out. Let me put it to you this way. You would never design something that way. Ever. Like that would be the worst possible way you could ever design something. Like that is the most expensive, convoluted, like computationally expensive. It's a horrible way to do it. You wouldn't do it that way. You would do pointers. You would do. There's all sorts of things you can do, but you wouldn't do it that way. And so, because think about how much energy exists in the universe.
Kind of like you would do anything for love, but you won't do that.
Say again?
Like you would do anything for love, but you won't do that?
I don't see how that relates to what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, but the universe is definitely a very crazy place.
Meatloaf, man. Meatloaf.
Oh no, I'm familiar with the lyric. I didn't know how it related to what I said. I was just confused the reference. That's all. Don't get me wrong. Like it's very romantic. It's very romantic and lovely. This idea that that for every decision I've made, that there's another copy of that universe that was made. God, just saying it hurts me because of the expense in the process of doing so. Like, can you imagine? Like, that'd be like copying the entire universe every time that any fool makes a decision. It's like, oh, God, I can't even imagine. It's horrifying.
The chat room, by the way, loved the Meatloaf comment.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. And I love Meatloaf. I just didn't get the. I just totally didn't understand how it related to what I was saying. And we've seen good examples. Like I'm sure a lot of you have watched the show Stargate. They had an episode or two where there was they had like a stone, and in the stone it would rotate through like different versions of reality. There were all like just one-off changes where like in our reality someone was a colonel, and in the other reality they were a captain, and then there was all these other changes that because of it, and it was like this thing you could dial in, and you could and basically the universes that were the most like yours were closest to you on the dial, and the ones that were farthest away from your probability were furthest away from the dial. And so basically it was this idea that Everett's thing was real, and that it wasn't just any copy, it was exact copies, and that all those copies exist, and you can dial them in like a radio station. And it was a magnificent plot device, right? Because then you could have the same actor playing themselves in two different positions. It was made for some very funny dialogues. And but the thing is that is it's so insanely impractical. I mean, I suppose you could fork at that point, but you wouldn't replicate what happened beforehand. You would just share it as a root. I don't know. some of this stuff, to me, like, with the way this stuff works, it has to make sense. Yeah, I mean, and I love all the attention Everett's getting. I do.
Hey, bud, I'll be right back. I gotta hit the
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah.
You keep
And-
talking to the audience.
Yep, no. And let me just warn everyone, if you ever decide to look more into Everett, and he's the one credited with the creation of the multiverse model of things. There's a couple things you should know. One is that Everett didn't actually solve the problem. In many ways, he just pushed the problem down the road. Because the whole problem he was trying to solve was this whole thing with like Schrodinger's cat. Is the cat alive or dead? And so the whole idea was, well, how do you deal with that? He's like, oh, I know. Well, we'll just have one universe where it's alive and one universe where it's dead. And boom, we're problem solved. But the problem is that in each of those universes, the decisions still had to be made. So it doesn't really solve that problem per se. But if you research him, be very careful. It is a really sad story, like a really, really tragic. Like, I think every time I've read it, I've ended up in tears. It's bad. So, just a heads up, because basically Everett's never recognized for it. And he dies. He basically drinks himself to death, and it destroys his family. It's really ugly. So it was very unfortunate. So just tread carefully if you decide to research Everett. Actually, you know who did a magnificent treatment of him, partially because of his relationship, is Max Tegmark. And Max Tegmark in his most recent book, I think it was, that's a really good book, by the way. I believe he does a treatment of Everett that is, and he's got a good connection to Everett because he knows Everett's son, I believe, and has basically worked with him to get some of his stuff recognized and so forth. Let's see, what? It's not what you think. It's not. Oh. Oh, no. I'm not saying that it has to make sense to me, because it definitely could be. It could involve concepts that I don't understand, or it could even involve. I don't know. I'm not one of these people that thinks that there's things that you can't think of, but no. To me, it's two things. One is, I expect that once whoever it is figures out how this works, that it will be beautiful. It will be absolutely elegant. It will be so damn efficient. Now, why do I believe that? Because that's how all of reality already is. Like, nature's already proved that time and time again, right? That's what I mean, is I expect it to be as elegant as what we currently know to exist. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be me that understands it. Now, the secondary tier to that thing is, on a personal level, of course, I desperately want to understand it. I really do. It means a lot to me personally. But obviously, just me, whatever, right? So, the important to me is just, I know that the beautiful thing about nature, whenever you're designing anything, if you can find an analogous behavior in nature to what you're trying to design, and then you look and see how nature did it, just copy it. Don't even bother. Just copy it, because nature always finds the lowest energy state. It always finds the path of least resistance. It always finds the easiest, simplest, lowest effort way to do everything. It's a beautiful thing.
You're a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
You're a beautiful thing.
Oh, you're very nice, Dave. Yeah,
that's how I roll, buddy.
There's definitely some crazy stuff going on. Oh, world's an interesting. The world and universe is a very interesting place for sure.
I'm tired. I hit my wall.
I've always wondered, like, what's the proper response to that? You know, like, because like for you, like, you're a friend, right? So like, if you said it to me like privately, I'd be like, I might say like, oh yeah, I get it, I didn't get much sleep either, or I might say, oh, I'm sorry, you feel that way, so forth. But like, to me, like, it's always been like weird to me, like how people are actually really were supposed to respond to some of these things, because my inclination is to say, yeah, you look tired, but no, that
I
goes well.
feel tired. I went for a beautiful walk after work, man.
Nice.
Pushing
How long
myself
of
a
a
little
walk?
bit. Half an hour. Half an hour.
Dave, do you ever? Okay, so I'm going to I'm gonna go out on a little thought experiment. I'm gonna say that uh, that all the stories about Bigfoot are real. Okay, and
Uh-huh.
now, so in your mind, when you take a walk like this, is your assumption that at some point during that walk there was at least one or two of these guys sitting somewhere going, "Look, Dave's out again. He's never gonna find us." I mean, it's like, do you think it's like like
Oh,
relaxed and friendly?
I'm not in Sasquatch area
Oh, okay, all right.
where I live.
Okay.
No, if I were to go in Sasquatch area, it would be at minimum 10 miles away. So I'd have to go there.
Hey, for people, and you actually you actually might know this. But for people like you, and then people like Duke that do more focused research, has there been any indication that when a because I think I remember reading there was that when a researcher develops a certain rapport with a group or an individual of these creatures, like some sort of a ritual, some sort of a habit, some sort of a behavior, that then when they go into another territory they've never been in before, the human does, that population of Bigfoot somehow are pre-warned or pre-educated on that person and able to then replicate that communication pattern. Like, is there indication that, because we see this with like crows, for example, where if you're mean to a pack of crows, they'll actually communicate that to other crows, and other crows will harass you, crows that were never there when you were being mean. And so, and that's a kind of a negative view of it, but there could be positive as well. And so, do you know of anyone seen that with these creatures?
Yes.
Really?
I have heard of it.
Because that's
That
a big deal.
That there are certain areas where they have pissed people off, and in those areas they have really tried to
Oh yeah,
push.
there's World Bigfoot Radio right there. Yes, that to me, that is just like. But I mean, in fairness, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be giving them so much credit. I mean, crows can do it, so
Right?
I mean, they're just, I mean, crows. All birds, they're just dinosaurs laying in wait. I think they're still bitter. They're not in control anymore.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm very jealous of birds. I really would love to be able to fly.
Yeah, the whole flying thing they got, that's pretty cool.
To me, like that was one of the most amazing and beautiful things that came out of the Robert Monroe trilogy. Was in the third book, he well, for those of you who aren't familiar, he's did a lot of the original out of body experience work with out of body travel and so forth. The Monroe Institute, Robert Monroe. In his third book, his guides meet a request that he makes to basically go into the future. And so they basically take him to Earth, but like way in the future. And it is, I mean, God, it's hard to talk about without getting emotional. It is so beautiful. It basically, when he comes up on it, the Earth doesn't look like it's inhabited. It looks completely natural. It looks completely looks like there's no one there. But then as you get closer and closer and closer, you start realizing that there's all these structures, but they're each built out of what exists in each place. And they're built in these very like just very clean ways. And essentially they go down there and what they find is that there's all these like dorms all over the planet where you can go and sleep and eat and so forth. And then it's going to challenge people's concepts. And then essentially there is a pool of human bodies there at each place that you can use to then venture off into the forest. But you don't have to use one of the human bodies. You can also jump into a jaguar or an eagle or a snake or a kangaroo, or you pick. And basically in this world, this is entertainment and learning all in one. If you think about what TV is, what movies are, it's all just trying to do that. That's it. That's all they're trying to do. So if you can actually do that, then all that stuff goes away. And so so basically, if for a Friday night, I can go, and it's not like I take over the Jaguar and I start like fumbling and the Jaguar crashes, right? It's kind of like a ride along. You cohabitate with the Jaguar. And so you see through the Jaguar's eyes, you hear through its ears, and you get to experience what it's like to hunt on the prairie as a jaguar, or to be an eagle and to be flying after a prey. I mean, I can't even imagine what an experience that would be. And basically, according to Monroe, like that is the future of this planet. And I just thought, man, to me that was just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I was in awe.
Well, my friend, I am going to call this the night because I am tired and I'm hungry and everything. Tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco, The Spiritual You. We'll also maybe find out a little bit about Dave's
yes,
regrets.
everyone listen to me. They were together in San Francisco. They had dinner together, other things. They talked by themselves with other people. There's lots of stuff. Peg her with questions. Find out everything you can. Lots of stuff Dave did that's embarrassing would be best.
Love you, Mr. Pancakes for late night snack.
And she'll play along too. So please ask. She'll appreciate it.
Sure she will. Thank you to Todd, Surf Jer, Amy, Hank, Simon, Allison, and Jeff. Greatly appreciate you guys for the super chats. Thank you to all the veterans out there who tuned us on in. We'll see you all tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Come on back. We'll see you.